Chosen one, something was cancelled tonight. Not by you, not by the circumstances, by heaven. Let me say that again in a different way so that it lands in the specific place it was sent to reach. Something that was assigned to run against your life. Something that had been operating in the background of your situation. Something that had been creating the specific resistance you have been feeling in the areas where progress has felt blocked and the breakthrough has felt close but not yet arrived. That something was cancelled tonight, not because the season changed on its own, because heaven made a specific decision about your specific situation. I know that is a significant claim, and I want to walk you through exactly what I mean by it before this message goes any further, because the word cancelled carries weight, and the weight needs to be placed accurately. When I say that heaven cancelled something tonight, I am not speaking about the general spiritual optimism of the person who wants everything to work out well. I am speaking about a specific pattern that the sacred history records consistently. A pattern in which God, at a specific moment, in the formation of a specific chosen one, cancels the assignment that was running against them. Not gradually, not eventually. At a specific moment, on a specific night, heaven did not forget your calling. Heaven was completing your formation. The delay was not evidence of absence. The delay was evidence of depth. You are in that specific moment, on that specific night. And the evidence that something has been cancelled is not going to come the way you might expect evidence to come. It is not going to be an immediate dramatic reversal of the circumstances that have been creating the resistance. The cancellation in heaven precedes the manifestation in the visible. The batel moment came first. The visible is now in the process of conforming to what the batel moment already established. What happened tonight in the unseen is the specific event that the visible will eventually be required to conform to. The evidence arrives, but the cancellation is first. You found this message on this specific night. The finding was not random. Before the full weight of tonight settles in your interior, declare that you receive what heaven sent before you fully understand what heaven sent. That is the posture of the chosen one at the threshold of the batel. Type 777 inches. The comments right now. The 3 sevens are the declaration of the completed work, the finished word, the thing God carries all the way through to its full end. 777. What God cancels stays cancelled. What heaven recalibrates stays recalibrated. I want to tell you something about the word tonight. The use of tonight in the title of this message was not accidental, not in the sense of the algorithm or the content strategy. In the sense of the specific kairos quality of the moment this message is landing in, tonight is not just a time marker, it is a declaration of the present tense immediacy of what God is doing, not what He was doing, not what He is going to do. What He is doing right now, in this specific moment, in the specific night of your specific season. The sacred history is full of tonight moments, not tomorrow, not eventually, tonight. The angel of death passed over Egypt at midnight, not at the next convenient moment, but at the specific appointed hour of the specific appointed night. The angel came to Peter in the prison, not the next day, but that specific night, the night before the execution. The fire fell on the altar on the specific day of the specific contest on Carmel. The sacred history is not a history of gradual improvement over time. It is a history of specific appointed moments when heaven made a specific decision about a specific person and the circumstances were required to conform. You are in a tonight moment. Heaven has made a specific decision about your specific situation tonight. And the message you are in right now, the fact that you found this video on this specific night, is not a coincidence in the ordinary sense. It is the specific leading of the person who was meant to hear the announcement of what heaven did on their behalf tonight. I want to say something before I describe who this message was sent for. Something I know about the person who is in this video right now, not from a general spiritual observation, but from the specific pattern of the chosen one in the sustained resistance. There is something that happens in the interior in the period right before the battle. The opposition has been running for long enough that the interior has been doing something specific. It has been in a low-grade monitoring mode. Not dramatic anxiety. Something quieter and more persistent. The background awareness of the ongoing interference. The sense that the thing you are building toward is also the thing that keeps getting intercepted. And because the monitoring has been low-grade, you have learned to function inside it. You have not been paralyzed by it, but it has been there underneath the ordinary operation of your day, a specific vigilance that the sustained resistance installed. I know that interior pattern, and I want you to know that I know it before I say anything else. Not because knowing it is impressive. Because the announcement of the cancellation lands differently in the interior of the person who recognizes that someone sees the specific weight they have been carrying. The specific people this message was sent for are the ones whose interior just registered something when I described that pattern. Let me describe who they are more fully. The first sign: you have been carrying a sense of resistance that you could not fully explain. Not the ordinary difficulty of the ordinary life. A specific quality of opposition that has shown up consistently in the specific areas where the calling is being developed. Progress that gets close and then stalls. Doors that open and then close. Opportunities that appear and then disappear. Resources that seem to be coming and then redirect. Not random setbacks. A specific pattern of interference in the specific areas that matter most to what you are built for. The second sign: you have stayed faithful anyway. Not perfectly. Not without the interior struggle of the person who is faithful under sustained resistance and who has moments where the faithfulness feels more like habit than intention. But you have not quit. You have not walked away from the calling or the formation or the private practice or the sense of purpose that the resistance has been working against. You have stayed, not dramatically, in the ordinary way of the person who gets up the next day and does the next right thing, regardless of whether the previous right thing generated the visible confirmation they were hoping for. The third sign: something has shifted in the interior recently. Not a dramatic shift. A subtle one, a quality of knowing in the interior that something is about to change. Not the wishful thinking of the person who needs something to change. The specific quality of interior knowing that the formation produces in the chosen one who is close to the threshold. The knowing that arrives before the visible confirmation. The sensing of the shift before the circumstances have caught up with the shift. The fourth sign: you have been asking God the question that is one of the most honest prayers of the formation season. The question that is not a complaint and not a demand, but a genuine interior asking. The question that goes something like this: why has the opposition been this consistent? What is it specifically about this season that has required this specific quality of sustained resistance? And sometimes, underneath the asking, the more honest version of the question: is the resistance coming from God, or is it coming from somewhere else? I want to answer that question now, directly and clearly, before we go any further. The resistance you have been experiencing in the specific areas where the calling is being developed is not from God. God does not frustrate his own assignments. God does not place a calling in a person and then run opposition against the calling. The calling and the resistance to the calling come from two different sources. And what happened tonight is that the source of the resistance received the cancellation that heaven has been building toward in the specific formation of your specific life. The fifth sign: you are watching this video alone. or in circumstances that feel private, at a moment when the regular noise of your life has dropped away enough that this specific message could reach you. The timing of the landing, the specific night, the specific moment in the interior, the specific question you have been carrying, and the specific message that appeared to answer it, is itself the evidence of the specific attention of the one who orchestrated it. You are not here by accident. The combination of your specific question and this specific message on this specific night is the signature of the one who arranged the encounter. You were led here, not by the algorithm, by the specific attention of the one who cancelled something on your behalf tonight and who sent you the announcement of the cancellation through this specific message on this specific night. The 5 signs you just heard are not generic. They are the specific fingerprint of the chosen one who has been in the sustained resistance and who is standing at the threshold of the batel. If those signs named your interior, declare it right now. Type, "I am" at the threshold in the comments. The declaration of the chosen one who recognizes the specific moment they are in. Before I unpack what the cancellation means, I want to do something more important. I want to tell you why the opposition was concentrated in the specific areas it was concentrated in. Because one of the most disorienting aspects of the sustained resistance is that it follows the calling. It does not hit randomly. It concentrates in the specific areas where the formation is developing the most significant capability. And when the chosen one notices this pattern, the most common conclusion they draw is a personal one. I must not be ready yet. I need more preparation before the calling can move. If I were further along spiritually, the opposition in these specific areas would be less intense. That conclusion feels honest. It is not accurate. The concentration of the opposition in the calling development areas is not evidence of your insufficiency. It is evidence of the value of what the calling is carrying. There is a specific principle at work in the sacred history that the opposition of the enemy follows consistently. I want to give it a name. The map logic. The map logic is this: where the opposition is most concentrated is where the provision will be most significant. The enemy does not concentrate attack in the areas of minimal strategic value. The enemy concentrates attack in the specific areas where the full deployment of the calling would produce the most impact, which means the map of your opposition is also the map of your deployment. The specific areas where the resistance has been most consistent are the specific areas where the heaven-level provision is most specifically targeted. So I want to recontextualize the years of the concentrated resistance for you, not as years of being insufficiently prepared, as years of being accurately targeted, which means the enemy's intelligence about the value of what you are carrying is better than your own. The sustained opposition is the most precise external confirmation of the specific worth of your calling that you have ever received. Every season of concentrated interference in the specific calling areas was confirmation that the opposition knew exactly what was at stake. More confirmation than the absence of the resistance would have been. And what the batel restores is not access to an area the enemy chose arbitrarily. It restores the trajectory in the specific area where the provision is most significant. The cancellation of the opposition and the map of the deployment are the same map. The door that opens is the door that was most specifically held, not unprepared, accurately targeted. Now let me unpack what a heaven-level cancellation actually means, not in the theological abstract, in the specific concrete terms of what changes when heaven cancels something that was running against your life. The first thing that changes is the source, the resistance that was coming from a specific source. The assignment that was operating in the background of the blocked areas no longer has the authorization it was operating under. The cancellation removes the authority, not the existence of the opposition, not immediately, but the authority by which it was operating. And a source of opposition that has lost its authority is in a fundamentally different position than one that still has it. The authority was the problem, and the authority is what was cancelled. The second thing that changes is the trajectory. The direction that the formation was moving before the cancellation was a direction that included the specific interference. The trajectory of the post-cancellation formation is a different trajectory, not because the circumstances change immediately, but because the factor that was bending the trajectory away from the calling is no longer active. The trajectory can now go in the direction it was assigned to go without the specific bend of the specific interference. Think of it this way: an arrow that has been bent by an outside force, when the force is removed, does not immediately spring back to its original trajectory. But the removal of the force is the specific event that makes the return to the original trajectory possible. The cancellation tonight is the removal of the force that was bending your trajectory. The return to the original trajectory is the specific thing that the recalibration of heaven is now producing. The third thing that changes when heaven cancels something is the interior. The chosen one, who has been carrying the sustained resistance in the interior, who has been holding the weight of the opposition in the faithfulness of the ordinary day-by-day staying, feels something shift when the cancellation happens, even before the circumstances confirm it. The interior registers the lifting of the authorized opposition before the exterior has caught up. If you have felt something shift in the interior in the period leading up to this moment, a quality of lightening, a sense of something coming off, an interior spaciousness that was not there before, that feeling is not wishful thinking. It is the interior registration of the heaven-level cancellation that was made on your behalf. The interior knows. It knows before the exterior catches up. And the fact that the interior knows is part of what drew you to this video on this specific night. Before I go deeper into what the cancellation means, I want to plant something for later in this message. In the description below and the pinned comment, there is something specific for the chosen one who has been carrying the weight of the sustained resistance in a way that has marked the interior, not just the spiritual weight, the neural weight, the specific pattern of the interior that the sustained opposition under formation conditions produces, a mind that is always on alert, an interior that has been running the vigilance pattern for so long that it does not downshift even in the moments when the opposition has lifted. For that specific interior pattern, there is something in the description. We will return to it. For now, let the open door of it be in your awareness as we continue. Now I want to speak into the specific dynamic of what heaven recalibrating means, because the word recalibrating is in the title of this message, and the weight of it is significant, not just the cancellation. The recalibration. Recalibration. The two are related, but they are not the same event. The cancellation is the removal of the thing that was running against the formation. The recalibration is the specific adjustment of heaven to the new position that the cancellation creates. When the bending force is removed from the trajectory, heaven does not simply wait for the trajectory to find its own way back to the original direction. Heaven recalibrates. Heaven actively adjusts the specific elements of the chosen one life to correspond to the new position. The people, the resources, the timing, the specific doors that were being held from opening by the authority of the cancelled thing. All of those things are now in the process of being recalibrated to correspond to the new position. Recalibration is a technical word. I want to use it carefully because the specific technical meaning is what gives it its spiritual weight. When a precision instrument is recalibrated, the recalibration does not happen by changing the target. It happens by adjusting the instrument until it is accurately pointed at the target that it was always designed to point at. The recalibration is not a new direction. It is the correction of the drift that had moved the instrument away from the direction it was built for. You are not behind. You are being recalibrated. You are not late. You are arriving at the specific position the formation was always building toward. Heaven recalibrating your life is not a new plan. It is the correction of the drift that the sustained opposition created. The calling has not changed. The target has not changed. What is changing is the alignment of your specific life with the specific target that the calling was always pointing at. The recalibration is bringing what the opposition bent back into alignment with what the calling was always designed to produce. And here is the specific thing that the title is saying that I want you to hear clearly. Heaven is recalibrating because of you, not in spite of you, not as a gift to someone who deserved better than what they received, because of what you did, because of the specific quality of faithfulness that the specific chosen one in the sustained resistance has demonstrated, because you stayed when the staying was costly, because you did the next right thing when the previous right things did not generate the visible confirmation that would have made the next right thing easier to do, because you held what you were given to hold in the interior without quitting, because you were the specific kind of faithful that the specific kind of resistance was designed to break. The recalibration is a response to the faithfulness, not the reward of the performance. The specific response of heaven to the specific demonstration of the person who was built for the calling and who proved in the sustained resistance that the building held. Heaven recalibrates because what it saw in the faithfulness was the confirmation that the formation produced what the commission requires. I want to walk you through a moment in the sacred history that maps exactly what I am describing. Not Moses this time, not Elijah, a woman named Esther, and a man named Haman. Haman had constructed a specific assignment against a specific people. He had received the authority of the king for his plan. He had built the gallows. He had set the timeline. The opposition had a name and a face and a structure and a date. And from the outside, from the position of the people who were living under the shadow of the assignment, the situation looked extremely unfavorable. The authority had been granted. The mechanism was in place. The timeline was running. And then something happened. But what happened in the throne room when Esther went in, the specific word the king spoke, the specific thing the king held out to her, I want you to hear that in the right sequence, because that moment is what tonight has been preparing you for. Hold that. I will bring you there. First, stay with the act of going in. A specific woman did a specific courageous thing on a specific night. Esther went to the king without being summoned, which, in the legal framework of the time, carried the weight of a death penalty. She did not go because the circumstances were favorable. She went because the assignment required it, and the formation had built in her the specific quality of courage that the specific moment required. And what heaven did with the act of one person doing one courageous thing on one specific night was cancel the entire assignment, not gradually, completely. The gallows that Haman built became the gallows that Haman hung on. The decree that had been issued against the people was overturned. The authorization of the opposition was removed, and the specific people who were under the shadow of the assignment were not only protected, but elevated. The reversal was total. The cancellation of the Haman assignment was not a random intervention. It was specifically connected to the specific act of the specific person who did the specific courageous thing on the specific appointed night. Heaven cancelled what it cancelled because Esther did what Esther did. The recalibration happened because of her, because of what she did. The message I am speaking to you right now is the announcement that you are the Esther of this season. What you have done in the sustained resistance, the faithfulness in the ordinary, the courageous holding of the calling in the specific interior conditions that the opposition created, is the specific act that has triggered the heaven-level cancellation. Heaven recalibrated because of what you did, because of what you have been doing in the ordinary, invisible formation, because the faithfulness of the chosen one who stays in the sustained resistance is the specific act that unlocks the heaven-level response. I want to give you 2 more recognition signs before we move into the next section of this message. Signs that the cancellation has already happened and that the recalibration is already in motion. The 6th recognition sign. There is a specific sense of the approaching, not the generic optimism of the person who needs things to change. The specific interior quality of something coming. The sense that the trajectory is already different even before the circumstances have reflected the difference. That the next conversation or the next door or the next thing that happens is not going to be the same as the previous ones in the same category. That the pattern is broken. That what was running is no longer running. That the trajectory has changed. The 7th sign. You have a specific person or situation on your mind as you watch this message. Not a general concern, but a specific one. A specific name or a specific door or a specific relationship or a specific resource that has been in the blocked category. The specific thing that the resistance has been most concentrated around, and even as you are watching this, the specific thing is present in your interior. Because the announcement of the cancellation of the assignment that was running against your formation is also the announcement of the specific freedom of the specific thing that the assignment was holding. That specific thing is part of the recalibration. The specific name or door or relationship or resource that has been in the blocked category is now in the recalibrating category, not the waiting category. The recalibrating category. Something is actively moving around it. The alignment is happening. The adjustment of the heaven-level response to the new position of your trajectory is already engaging with the specific thing that the resistance was most concentrated around. Watch it. What happens next with the specific thing will be different from what has been happening with it. I want to close this opening section of the message with the specific declaration of the person who hears the announcement of the heaven-level cancellation and receives it as true, not as wishful thinking. As the specific kairos word for the specific night of the specific person who found this message in the specific moment of the specific interior that they are in. The cancellation is real. The recalibration is in motion. The trajectory has changed. What you did in the sustained resistance is what heaven responded to, and what heaven is releasing into your specific situation because of the response is not the minor adjustment of a slightly improved circumstance. It is the specific total reversal of the Esther pattern. The Haman assignment hung on its own gallows. The decree overturned. The people elevated. The trajectory restored to the original direction the calling was always designed to produce. Stay here. What follows in this message is the specific teaching that gives the chosen one the framework for receiving what the cancellation released, for walking in the recalibration, for understanding what to do with the trajectory now that the bending force has been removed. This message was built for the person who was built for this season, and you are the person, and this is the night. Before we move into the next section, I want to dwell for a moment in the specific atmosphere of what tonight actually represents for the chosen one who has been in the sustained resistance, because tonight is not simply the night when something was cancelled. Tonight is the night when the interior of the chosen one is invited to make a specific shift, not a shift of the circumstances, a shift of the operating posture. The operating posture of the sustained resistance is the specific interior orientation of the person who is in the opposition. It is a posture of holding, of vigilance, of the readiness to respond to the next thing that tries to bend the trajectory. The chosen one in the sustained resistance develops a specific interior readiness, a bracing for the next hit, a monitoring of the perimeter, a preparedness for the opposition that has been consistent enough that the interior prepares for it automatically. I want to name the specific interior orientation that the recalibration requires: the receiver posture. Not the naive openness of someone who has never carried sustained resistance. The specific earned openness of the chosen one who has done the formation work and who is now making a deliberate choice to receive rather than brace. The receiver posture is not passivity. It is the most advanced interior position the recalibrated one can take. It is the specific configuration that allows the full provision of the batel to land in the areas where it has been released. That posture, adaptive in the resistance season, is the specific posture that the recalibration is now asking to be released. Not because vigilance is wrong, because the specific thing the vigilance was responding to has been cancelled. The bracing for the opposition that is no longer authorized is a posture that will, if it continues, make it harder to receive the recalibration that heaven is releasing. The recalibration requires a different posture, the posture of the receiver rather than the defender, the open hands of the person who is no longer in the opposition but in the reception. This is one of the most practically significant transitions the chosen one makes in the movement from the formation to the deployment. The release of the opposition posture, the deliberate choosing of the receiver posture, the intentional openness to what is coming rather than the automatic bracing for what has been coming. And tonight is the specific night for that transition, because the specific thing the bracing was in response to has been cancelled, and the recalibration that heaven is releasing is coming into the space that the cancellation created, but it requires the receiver posture to land fully in the interior of the person it was sent to reach. I want to speak to the specific person who is reading this and feeling the resistance to the receiver posture, who has been in the opposition for long enough that the receiver posture feels unfamiliar, or even vulnerable, or even premature. Who wants the visible confirmation before the posture shifts? Who wants to see the circumstances change before the interior settles into the openness of the receiver? I want to say this to that person: the visible confirmation follows the posture shift, not the other way around. The posture of the receiver is not the response to the changed circumstances. It is the specific interior alignment that makes the changed circumstances accessible. The chosen one who maintains the opposition posture after the cancellation is blocking their own reception of the recalibration, not because they are spiritually underdeveloped, but because the specific interior posture of the bracing for opposition is the exact opposite of the interior posture required to receive what the cancellation released. So, tonight, in this message, before the visible confirmation has arrived, I want to invite you to make the specific interior choice of the receiver posture, to let the arms of the interior drop from the defensive position, to let the monitoring of the perimeter downshift, to let the readiness for the next thing that tries to bend the trajectory be replaced, at least in this moment, by the readiness to receive what the trajectory is now moving toward. The posture shift does not have to be complete tonight. The interior does not always transition from one season to the next in a single night. But the beginning of the shift, the first moment of the deliberate choosing of the receiver posture, is the specific act that tonight is asking of the specific chosen one who received the announcement of the heaven-level cancellation and who is now standing at the threshold between the formation season and the recalibration season. Make the shift, not dramatically, not with the performance of someone who is generating the shift for an audience, in the actual interior, in the private space of this moment. Let something in the interior choose differently tonight than it has been choosing in the sustained resistance. Let the bracing drop a degree. Let the monitoring quiet a degree. Let the interior lean forward into what is coming rather than back against what was coming. You have done the hard part. You stayed in the resistance, and the resistance did not break what it was designed to break. The formation held. The calling held. The faithfulness held. And heaven responded to the holding. The hard part is behind you. What is in front of you is the recalibration, the alignment of the trajectory with the calling, the specific movement of heaven toward the specific doors and relationships and resources and opportunities that the assignment was holding. What is in front of you is the receiving. I want to take you deeper into the sacred history of the cancelled assignment, because the Esther story I referenced in the first section is one example of a pattern that runs through the entire sacred record. And the pattern, when you see it clearly, changes the way you read not just the sacred history but your own history, the formation history, the seasons of the sustained resistance, the specific chapters of your story where the opposition was running and the trajectory was being bent. The pattern is this: God allows the opposition to develop to its fullest expression before the cancellation happens, not because he is indifferent to the cost to the chosen one of the resistance season, because the full development of the opposition is what makes the full cancellation possible. The Haman story is not only about the cancellation of the assignment against the people, it is about the gallows that Haman built for Mordecai, becoming the gallows that Haman himself was executed on. The total reversal, the complete inversion, the thing that was constructed to destroy becoming the specific mechanism of the destruction of the one who constructed it. This pattern does not happen when the opposition is cancelled early. The partial opposition produces the partial cancellation. The full development of the assignment against the chosen one produces the conditions for the full reversal, for the inversion of the gallows, for the specific total turning of the thing that was built to destroy into the thing that destroys the destroyer. I understand that this is a difficult teaching for the chosen one who has been in the sustained resistance, because the implication of it is that the very duration of the opposition that has been so costly is the specific thing that was producing the conditions for the specific quality of cancellation that tonight represents. The longer the assignment ran, the higher the gallows Haman built. And the higher the gallows, the more complete the reversal when heaven says enough, and the gallows receives the one who built it. There is a word from the ancient Aramaic that names exactly what happened over your life tonight. A single word that carries the full legal weight of what the cancellation means in the language of the sacred record. Once you have this word, the sustained resistance will reorganize itself around it, and you will never read the opposition season the same way again. The Hebrew word I want to give you for this pattern is the word batel. In the Aramaic sections of the sacred text, batel means to cease, to stop, to annul, to make null and void. It is the word for the specific act of heaven that renders the assignment not just stopped, but retroactively voided, not paused, voided. The authority by which it was operating removed as though it was never there. The assignment cancelled at the root, not simply interrupted at the surface. I want you to call tonight by its name, the battle moment, not just a spiritual shift, the specific moment when the authorization of the opposition is voided at the root as though it was never there. The batel moment is the threshold event that separates the chosen one who is still inside the formation from the chosen one who is about to move. Tonight is the batel moment. For the specific areas where the resistance has been most concentrated in your life. The authorization has been removed. The root has been addressed. The batel moment is tonight. When heaven uses the batel, the full extent of the cancelled thing is undone, not gradually, at the root. And what the batel produces in the life of the chosen one is not just the absence of the opposition. It is the specific freedom of the trajectory from the specific bend that the opposition created. The trajectory is not just moving again. It is moving in the direction it was always designed to move, with the specific acceleration that the removal of the bending force releases. I want to take you to a second moment in the sacred history that maps the cancellation pattern in a way that is slightly different from the Esther story, the Red Sea. The people of Israel are in the specific position of the chosen one in the maximum resistance moment. The Egyptian army is behind them. The sea is in front of them. The resistance has reached its most concentrated and most threatening form. There is no visible escape route. The opposition has pursued all the way to the threshold of the sea. And from the outside, from the position of the people who could see the army behind them and the water in front of them, the situation appeared to be catastrophic. And then Moses stretched out the staff over the sea, and the sea divided, not partially, all the way through to dry ground. The path was complete. The provision was not a partial solution. It was the specific, complete provision for the specific maximum resistance moment. And the people crossed, and then the Egyptian army followed, and the sea that divided for the chosen one closed over the opposition. The specific place where the provision of the cancellation was released became the specific place where the opposition that had been pursuing was swallowed. The sea was both the path for the chosen one and the end of the assignment that was chasing them. That is the pattern, the same place, the same moment, the same divine action, the path for the chosen one, and the cancellation of the assignment in a single event. Not two separate events with a timeline between them. The path and the cancellation were the same act. The opening of the sea for the chosen one and the closing of the sea on the opposition were the same act of the same God in the same moment. What tonight represents is the Red Sea moment of your specific situation. The path and the cancellation are the same event. The opening that is occurring in the trajectory of your life and the closing of the assignment that was running against the trajectory are not two separate things on a timeline. They are the same event. Heaven cancelled the assignment and opened the path in a single act. And the announcement of the cancellation is the announcement of the path. I want to give you the third moment from the sacred history, the mountain of Carmel, the contest between the one prophet and the 450 prophets of a competing system. The assignment against the one prophet was concentrated. The opposition had numbers, had institutional endorsement, had the cultural authority of the dominant system. And from a purely strategic position, the odds were not in favor of the single prophet. But the single prophet made a specific prayer on a specific afternoon, a prayer that did not ask for the gradual, favorable movement of the situation, that asked for the fire of heaven to fall on the altar. A specific, visible demonstration of the specific cancellation of the specific competing system, and the fire fell, not gradually, immediately, completely. All the water-soaked wood and water-soaked sacrifice, and the water that filled the trenches around the altar, all of it consumed, the total cancellation of what was running against the truth in a single visible act. The prayer that triggers the heaven-level cancellation is not a long, persuasive prayer. It is not a prayer that demonstrates adequate spiritual preparation. It is the honest, specific prayer of the chosen one at the specific moment of the specific maximum resistance, asking for the specific demonstration of the specific response of heaven to the specific assignment that has been running. You have been praying that prayer, maybe not in the formal language of the prayer of the single prophet on Carmel. In the interior language of the chosen one, in the sustained resistance who has been bringing the specific weight of the specific opposition to God repeatedly, in the formation seasons, in the closed-door encounters, in the private space of the genuine interior asking, that prayer has been heard, and the fire fell tonight, not on the altar of the visible circumstances yet, on the specific assignment that was running against your life. The batel happened. What was running is null and void. The authority has been removed. Type the words "I see it" in the comments right now. This is the second declaration of this message. I see the cancellation. I see the batel that heaven made on my behalf tonight. I see the Red Sea pattern in my specific situation. I see the Carmel fire in the specific contest of my specific formation. I see it, not as wishful thinking, as the specific spiritual discernment of the chosen one who was meant to watch this message on this specific night and receive the announcement of what heaven did. I see it. Type, I see it. Now I want to walk you through what it looks like when the recalibration begins to manifest in the visible, because the recalibration is already happening in the unseen, and the unseen always precedes the seen. The visible manifestation of the heaven-level response always follows the unseen act, but the pattern of the manifestation is consistent enough in the sacred history that I can describe what to watch for. The first sign of the recalibration manifesting in the visible is the specific movement of the specific things that have been stationary, the doors that have been closed beginning to open, not all at once and not necessarily the specific doors that were most obvious as the targets of the opposition. Sometimes, the first sign of the recalibration is a small movement in a peripheral area that seemed unrelated to the main blocked area. The small movement in the peripheral area is the first indication that the trajectory has changed and that the recalibration is engaging the visible. The second sign is the specific quality of what I would call divine acceleration. The chosen one, who has been in the sustained resistance, has often had the sense that things were moving slower than they should be, that the formation was taking longer than the original trajectory would have produced, that the delays created by the opposition had accumulated into a significant gap between where the calling should have the chosen one by now and where they actually are. And what the recalibration releases is the specific divine compensation for the delay, not a slow catching up, an acceleration, the specific momentum of heaven moving the specific situation toward the specific position the calling was always designed for, on a timeline that compensates for the accumulated delay. The people of Israel did not wander for 40 years after the Red Sea. The sea divided, and the path was opened, and they moved. The recalibration did not produce a gradual improvement of their trajectory. It produced the specific forward movement that the cancellation of the opposition made possible. The acceleration was proportional to the duration of the opposition. The longer the resistance ran, the more significant the recalibration that followed the cancellation. Before I move into the rest of this section, I want to give you a specific moment of rest, because the carrying of the sustained resistance is real. And I want to honor, in this middle portion of the message, the specific weight that the chosen one, who has been in the opposition season, has been carrying. Not just the spiritual weight of the sustained formation, the interior weight, the weight that lives in the body as well as the spirit, the weight that shows up in the quality of sleep and the quality of rest, and the specific inability of the interior to fully receive the peace that the spirit knows is available. I want to offer you permission to set that weight down for a moment right here. Not permanently, not the full release that we will do later in this message in the sacred closing, but a specific moment of interim permission. You have been carrying this long enough that you deserve a moment of the rest that the announcement of the batel creates. The assignment that was running has been cancelled. You do not need to carry the weight of the opposition that is no longer authorized. Not one more moment of carrying what heaven just removed the authority from. Set it down for a moment. Let the interior drop the opposition posture for just this one breath. Let the monitoring quiet for just this one pause. Let the announcement of the cancellation be received in the interior as real, even before the visible confirmation, and let the reality of it produce the specific lightning that belongs to the person who has just been told that the authorized opposition has been cancelled. Breathe. Let the body register what the spirit just received. The cancellation is real. The recalibration is in motion. And the weight you have been carrying is not yours to carry any further in this moment. Now, I want to tell you about a woman who came to me after a message similar to this one. I am not going to give you her name. I am not going to tell you what city she was in, or what the specific form of the opposition in her life looked like. What I am going to tell you is what she said, because I believe the specific thing she described is what a significant number of the people in this room are currently experiencing. She said this: I had been in the resistance for 3 years. 3 years of the specific pattern you described, the close and the stall, the open and the close, the opportunity that appears and redirects. And in 3 years I developed a specific interior orientation toward whatever was coming next. I started anticipating the redirection before it happened. I started managing my hope, keeping it small enough that the disappointment would be manageable. I had stopped expecting things to go all the way through because 3 years of the pattern had trained me not to expect it. And then, she said, something shifted. Not in the circumstances first, in the interior. A specific night, about 2 weeks before the visible breakthrough, when something in the interior dropped the anticipatory disappointment and simply opened. When she stopped managing the hope and just let the hope be what it was, and she described it not as a spiritual discipline, as a relief. As the interior, recognizing something before the mind, had understood what the interior was responding to, the interior knew the batel had happened before the visible confirmed it. And the interior responded to the cancellation by releasing the bracing before the visible gave it permission to release. 2 weeks later, the specific thing that had been in the blocked category for 3 years began moving, not gradually, in the way that the Red Sea moves, completely. And the movement was calibrated, she said, to the 3 years. The provision that came was proportional to the delay. I share that story because it contains the 2 things I want to say most directly to the chosen one in this room. The first is that the interior shift precedes the visible confirmation. The releasing of the bracing, the dropping of the anticipatory disappointment, the opening of the hope that had been managed into smallness by the sustained resistance. These are the interior acts that align the chosen one with the recalibration, before the recalibration has fully manifested in the visible. And the alignment of the interior with the recalibration is what makes the full reception of the recalibration possible when the visible does move. The second is that the provision that comes with the recalibration is calibrated to the delay. The 3 years of the sustained resistance produced a 3-year calibrated provision. The duration of the opposition is not wasted time. It is the specific accumulation of the provision that will be released with the recalibration. The longer the Haman assignment ran, the higher the gallows. And the higher the gallows, the more complete the reversal. The more years of the Red Sea resistance, the more dramatic the opening when the sea finally divided. The more concentrated the opposition on Carmel, the more complete the fire when it fell. Your specific duration of the sustained resistance is the specific calibration of what heaven is releasing in the recalibration. The delay was not waste. The delay was the accumulation of what the recalibration will release. And what is about to be released is proportional to what has been endured. Now I want to speak into the specific dynamics of what the Chosen One does with the recalibration when it begins to manifest. Because the receiving of the recalibration is not passive, it is active. There are specific things the Chosen One, who is in the recalibration season, does that align them with what heaven is releasing, and specific things that inadvertently resist the alignment. The first dynamic of the active receiving is the practice of acknowledging what is moving. The Chosen One, in the sustained resistance, develops the habit of noticing what is stalling, of tracking what is blocked, of monitoring the areas where the opposition has been most concentrated. This is the opposition posture at the level of attention. And the specific shift that the recalibration requires is the shift of attention from what is stalling to what is moving, from the blocked areas to the opening areas, from the Haman that is still in the picture to the trajectory that is already changing. Not because the blocked areas are not real, they are real, but because what you give your sustained attention to is what you are aligned with receiving more of. And the Chosen One, who keeps the sustained attention on the blocked areas after the cancellation, is not aligned with the recalibration that is already moving in other areas. The shift of attention to what is moving, the deliberate noticing of the small movements in the peripheral areas, is the specific practice that keeps the Chosen One aligned with the recalibration as it manifests. The second dynamic is the practice of speaking the recalibration before it is fully visible, not as a performance of faith, as the specific act of the Chosen One who is walking in the trajectory that the cancellation released. The speaking of what heaven is doing, not what it did yesterday, and not what it will do eventually, but what it is doing now, is the specific verbal act that maintains the interior alignment with the recalibration in the period between the cancellation and the full visible manifestation. The speaking looks like this, not the general spiritual optimism of the person who says things are going to get better. The specific declaration of the Chosen One who knows what the battle produced and who speaks from that specific knowledge. The assignment is cancelled. The trajectory has changed. The specific door that was held closed is being opened. The specific resource that was redirected is being recalibrated toward me. The specific relationship that the opposition was working against is moving. I speak what is moving. I name what is opening. I declare what the recalibration is releasing. This is the prophetic function at its most practical, not the dramatic prediction of future events. The specific present tense naming of what heaven is doing in the recalibration of the specific life of the specific Chosen One. The naming does not generate the recalibration. The recalibration is already in motion. The naming aligns the Chosen One with what is in motion, so that the receiving of it is active rather than passive. The third dynamic is the specific practice of honoring the movements when they appear. When the small thing in the peripheral area begins to move, when the first sign of the recalibration manifests in the visible, the specific response of the Chosen One who is aligned with the recalibration is not to minimize it while waiting for the bigger thing. It is to acknowledge it as the first manifestation of the recalibration, and to receive it with the specific gratitude of the person who is watching the sea begin to divide, and who says, yes, this is what I have been told to watch for. The honoring of the small movement maintains the alignment with the larger movement that is coming. The dismissing of the small movement, the waiting for the more significant sign, is the specific act that can interrupt the alignment. Heaven is showing you the beginning of the recalibration in the small movement. The acknowledgement of the small movement is the specific act of faith that says, I see what is happening and I receive it as real, and I am watching for the larger movements that follow from this first one. Watch for the small movements, starting from tomorrow, starting from the next conversation, starting from the next thing that happens in the specific area that has been most blocked. Look for the small movement, and when it appears, acknowledge it, name it, receive it as the specific first manifestation of the recalibration that heaven made on your behalf tonight. The sea is beginning to divide. The fire is falling on the altar. The gallows is being prepared to receive the builder rather than the one it was built for. What is happening in your situation right now, in the unseen, is the most significant thing that has happened in your formation season. And what is going to happen in the visible in the days and weeks that follow tonight is going to reflect it. There is one more dimension of the recalibration that I want to name before we move into the next section of this message. A dimension that is often overlooked in the excitement of the announcement of the cancellation, the dimension of the chosen one who did the work that heaven responded to. Because in the announcement of what heaven cancelled and what heaven is now recalibrating, the focus is naturally on what God did. The batel, the Red Sea, the fire on Carmel. The heaven-level response to the sustained resistance, and the focus on what God did is right. The cancellation was a work of heaven, not a work of the chosen one. But the specific trigger for the work of heaven was the specific faithfulness of the specific chosen one in the sustained resistance. And I want to honor that faithfulness now, before we move forward. Not to give the chosen one the credit for what God did. To acknowledge that the faithfulness of the one who stays in the sustained resistance is the specific act that heaven watches for and responds to. The fire falls on Carmel when the specific prophet makes the specific prayer in the specific courage of the specific moment. The sea divides when Moses stretches out the staff. The Haman assignment is cancelled when Esther goes to the king. The act of the chosen one, in the appointed moment, is the specific thing that is connected to the heaven-level response. You did the specific thing, not perfectly, not without the interior struggle of the person who is faithful in the sustained resistance, but faithfully. In the ordinary daily way of the person who does the next right thing regardless of whether the previous right things generated the visible confirmation. You stretched out the staff. You went to the king. You made the prayer on Carmel, not once, repeatedly. Over the months and years of the sustained resistance, you did the specific thing of the faithful chosen one, and heaven responded. I want you to receive that, not as the setup for the next instruction, as the specific honoring of the specific thing you did that is the reason for the announcement of tonight. You are not watching this message because you are lucky, or because the algorithm delivered it randomly, or because you happened to be in the right place at the right time. You are watching this message because what you did in the sustained resistance was the specific act that heaven was looking for, and you are the specific person who did it. And the announcement of the cancellation belongs specifically to you. Well done. Let me say that again. Well done. Not the performance review of the manager who is satisfied with adequate work. The well done of the one who saw the faithfulness in the hardest season and who wants to say, before the recalibration fully manifests and the victory is visible, that the faithfulness itself was already the thing, that the doing of the faithful thing in the sustained resistance was already the act that mattered, that the specific integrity of the chosen one who stayed is already something that heaven noticed and honored before the circumstances reflected the honoring. You did it. The cancellation is the evidence that you did it. Heaven recalibrated because of what you did, and what is coming in the visible, in the opening doors and the moved resources and the changed trajectory and the divine acceleration of the recalibration is the specific response of heaven to the specific faithfulness you demonstrated. Receive the well done before the visible, before the evidence, in the private space of this moment. Let the specific honoring land in the interior of the chosen one who did the faithful thing in the hard season. You earned the announcement of tonight. Not the grace of the cancellation, which is grace and is not earned, but the specific announcement, this specific message reaching you on this specific night, is not random. It is the specific provision of the one who sends the announcement to the specific person who did what you did. I want to give you now the 3 tools of the recalibration season, the specific practices that the chosen one who has just received the announcement of the heaven-level cancellation uses to walk into the recalibration season in a way that is aligned with what heaven is doing rather than still, oriented toward what the opposition was doing. The first tool is what I call the cancellation acknowledgement. The cancellation acknowledgement is the specific practice of naming what has been cancelled before you name what you are expecting to receive. Not because the naming of the cancelled thing is the most important spiritual act, because the interior needs to be released from the opposition posture before the receiver posture becomes accessible. And the specific way to release the interior from the opposition posture is to name specifically what the opposition was, acknowledge its cancellation specifically, and then release the attention from it. Practically, this looks like this. You take the specific area of the formation that has been experiencing the most concentrated resistance. You name it clearly in the interior, not with the emotional charge of the person who is still in the resistance. With the clarity of the person who is announcing what has been cancelled, the specific assignment that was running against the specific calling in the specific area of the formation, that assignment is cancelled. The batel happened. The authority by which it was operating has been removed, and with that acknowledgement, you release the attention from it. Not because the area is no longer important, because it is now in the recalibrating category rather than the blocked category. The attention on the blocked area was the appropriate attention of the chosen one in the opposition. The attention on the recalibrating area is the appropriate attention of the chosen one in the post-cancellation season. The cancellation acknowledgement makes the specific transition from one orientation to the other. The second tool is what I call the recalibration inventory. The recalibration inventory is the specific practice of mapping what is opening as a result of the cancellation, not what you hope will open. What you can already sense is beginning to open. The small movements in the peripheral areas, the quality of interior knowing about a specific relationship or resource or door that has shifted. The specific things that the receiver posture reveals when the bracing of the opposition posture is released. The recalibration inventory is different from the vision list of the person who is wishfully cataloging what they want to receive. It is the specific, attentive noticing of what is already moving in the unseen and beginning to touch the visible. The small conversation that went differently than the same kind of conversation usually goes. The small opening in the specific area that has been closed. The small quality of something different in the specific relationship that has been strained by the opposition. These small movements are not coincidental. They are the first manifestations of the recalibration, and the recalibration inventory is the practice of tracking them, not with the intensity of the person who is analyzing every event for signs, with the specific attentiveness of the chosen one who was told to watch for small movements and who is watching with the specific expectancy of the person who knows what they are watching for. Practically, the recalibration inventory happens in the first quiet moment of the day, a specific, brief review of what moved yesterday that did not move the day before, what opened that was closed, what person showed up in the situation who was not there before, What specific thing that was in the blocked category began, however slightly, to shift? The inventory does not have to be long, 2 minutes. The specific noticing and the specific acknowledgement of what is moving. The third tool is the alignment declaration. This is the verbal practice of the chosen one in the recalibration season, the specific daily speaking of the present tense reality of what heaven is doing. The alignment declaration is not a wish list, not a prayer for what you want God to do. It is the specific present tense declaration of what heaven is already doing. In response to the cancellation, the trajectory has changed. The specific doors are opening. The specific resources are being recalibrated toward me. The specific relationships that the assignment was working against are moving. The acceleration of the divine provision is already in motion. I am aligned with what heaven is doing. I receive the recalibration in every area where the assignment was running. The alignment declaration is spoken aloud, in the private space, in the morning before the day begins, not with the performance energy of the person who is generating faith for an audience, with the specific interior conviction of the person who is naming what they know to be true from the inside. The speaking of the alignment declaration is the daily act of the chosen one who chooses to walk in the recalibration season rather than the opposition season, who chooses to orient toward what is opening rather than what was closed, who chooses the receiver posture as the daily operating posture rather than the bracing posture of the resistance. Type the words I receive in the comments right now. The third declaration of this message: I receive the cancellation as real. I receive the recalibration as already in motion. I receive the first signs of what is moving even before the full visible manifestation. I receive the trajectory change even before the circumstances have fully reflected it. I receive the specific provision that the batel released. I receive it. Type, I receive. Now I want to return to the thing I placed in the description and the pinned comment for the chosen one who has been carrying the weight of the sustained resistance in the interior in a way that has marked not just the spirit, but the spirit neural architecture. For the one whose interior has been running the vigilance pattern for so long that the vigilance does not downshift, even in the moments when the opposition has lifted. For the one who received the announcement of the cancellation in this message and who wants to believe it and whose interior is still bracing for the next thing that tries to bend the trajectory. The bracing posture that does not release even with the announcement of the cancellation is not a spiritual failure. It is a neural pattern, the specific interior architecture of the person who has been in the sustained resistance for long enough that the monitoring and the vigilance and the preparedness have become the default neural operating mode. The interior runs the resistance pattern not because the chosen one is choosing to distrust the cancellation, but because the neural architecture was built for the resistance and does not automatically reconfigure when the resistance ends. For that specific pattern, for the interior that has been shaped by the sustained resistance into a specific neural operating mode that does not downshift on its own, there is something in the description and the pinned comment, not a spiritual technique. A specific natural support for the neural architecture that the sustained resistance shaped, something that makes the alignment declaration land in an interior that is actually aligned, rather than an interior that is still running the vigilance pattern while the declaration is being spoken. We will come back to it at the specific moment in this message, where it belongs. For now, if you recognized yourself in the description, know that the provision exists and that it is in the description. There is someone in your life right now, a specific person you can see in your interior if you let yourself think about them, who is in the resistance season and who does not yet know that the announcement of the cancellation is available, who is in year 2 or 3 of the sustained resistance And who needs to receive what you just received in this message? Who needs the cancellation acknowledgement and the recalibration inventory and the alignment declaration? Who needs to know that the batel is available and that what happened tonight in this message can happen for them on their specific night? I want you to send this message to them right now, not after you finish watching, right now. Take 30 seconds and send it to the specific person whose face came to your mind. The act of sending is the specific act of the chosen one in the recalibration season who takes the first fruits of the reception and passes them to the person who needs them next. That is the recalibration inventory in its most immediate form. What moved in your life in this message? What opened? What shifted in the interior? Send it. Let the person you are thinking of have their specific night of the announcement of the cancellation. Now I want to lead you through the 4-step guided mental activation that belongs to the recalibration season. The first step is the image of the cleared trajectory. I want you to see, in the interior, the specific area of your formation where the resistance has been most concentrated. And I want you to see the assignment that was running against it, not as a dramatic spiritual image, as a simple obstacle in a path, something that was in the road. And now I want you to see that obstacle removed, gone, the authority that was operating it, removed. The road clear. Not just cleared for the moment, clear from this point forward, because the battle removed the authority at the root. See the cleared trajectory, 15 seconds. The second step is the image of the first movement. On the cleared trajectory, I want you to see the first movement of the recalibration, the first small thing that moves, in the specific area that was most blocked, not the dramatic full manifestation. The first small thing, a door that cracks open, a conversation that begins, a resource that turns toward rather than away. The first movement of the recalibration inventory that you are going to be watching for in the coming days. Let it be real in the interior. Let the interior know what to watch for. The third step is the image of the receiver posture. The receiver posture. I want you to see yourself in the specific area where the first movement happened. And I want you to see yourself in the receiver posture. Not the bracing posture of the resistance, the open posture of the receiver. Arms down, interior open. The specific physical and interior image of the person who is ready to receive what the cleared trajectory and the first movement of the recalibration are releasing. Let the body feel the difference between the bracing and the receiving. Let the receiver posture be real in the body as well as the interior. The fourth step is the alignment declaration in the interior of the image. In the space of the image you have been building, the cleared trajectory and the first movement and the receiver posture, speak the declaration once, not aloud. In the interior, the trajectory has changed. The recalibration is in motion. I am aligned with what heaven is doing. I receive what the cancellation released. Let the declaration land in the interior of the image. Let the body register the specific quality of the interior that speaks the alignment declaration from the receiver posture rather than the bracing posture. Anchor it. Whatever the physical quality of that interior state is, let the body register it as the anchor point for the receiver posture. Let the body carry the memory of what the receiver posture feels like, so that the next time the interior begins to brace for the opposition that is no longer authorized, the body can return to the anchor and the receiver posture can be reclaimed. The anchor is the specific physical registration of what this moment felt like. Carry it forward. The activation you just moved through, the cleared trajectory, the first movement, the receiver posture, the alignment declaration, is the specific interior work of the chosen one who is standing on the other side of the batel moment. That interior is now different than it was before this message. Type receiver posture in the comments right now. The declaration of the chosen one who has released the bracing and is standing open to what the cancellation released. Now I want to add depth to the three tools by speaking into what makes each of them difficult in the specific context of the recalibration season. Because knowing the tools and using them in the way that produces the result are two different things. And the specific difficulty of each tool is the specific thing that the chosen one in the recalibration season needs to navigate in order for the tool to work the way it is designed to work. The specific difficulty of the cancellation acknowledgement is the fear that the acknowledgement is premature. The interior question that arises when you try to name what has been cancelled is this: what if it is not actually cancelled? What if I name it as cancelled, and then the thing that I named as cancelled comes back? What if the acknowledgement of the battle produces a false sense of the cleared trajectory, and I am then caught off guard by the opposition that I had released my vigilance from? I want to address that fear directly. The battle is not a provisional cancellation, not a pausing of the assignment while heaven evaluates further. The batel in the sacred record is the specific total annulment of the authority by which the assignment was operating. The Haman assignment did not come back after the king issued the counter-decree. The Egyptian army did not regroup after the sea closed. The fire on Carmel did not restore the opposing system after it fell. The batel is complete. What can happen, and what the fear is actually responding to, is the residual activity of the cancelled system, the thing that still runs for a period on the momentum it built before the batel without the authorization it was operating under. The residual is not the continuation of the authorized opposition. It is the dissipating echo of something that no longer has the authority to sustain itself. And the chosen one who confuses the residual echo for the continuation of the authorized assignment will maintain the opposition posture past the point where the opposition posture is appropriate. The specific practice that addresses the confusion between residual and authorized is the cancellation acknowledgement repeated. Each time the interior registers the residual activity and the bracing posture begins to reassert, the chosen one returns to the cancellation acknowledgement. This assignment was cancelled. The batel happened. What I am registering is the residual echo of a cancelled thing, not the continuation of an authorized thing. The authority is gone. The echo will dissipate. I hold the receiver posture in the presence of the dissipating echo. The repetition of the cancellation acknowledgement trains the interior to distinguish the residual from the authorized. And the training produces, over time, a specific quality of interior steadiness in the recalibration season that is different from both the vigilance of the resistance season and the naive optimism of the person who does not have the tool. It is the specific steadiness of the chosen one who knows what was cancelled, who recognizes the residual when it appears, and who holds the receiver posture through the residual, because the receiver posture is the correct posture for the post-cancellation season. The specific difficulty of the recalibration inventory is the temptation to inventory the wrong things, to track the large movements that are not yet visible, rather than the small movements that are beginning to appear. The chosen one who has been in the sustained resistance often has a large and specific vision of what the recalibration will look like in the full visible manifestation. The Haman hung on his own gallows, the sea completely divided, the fire consuming everything on the altar, the total reversal, the complete inversion, the dramatic full expression of what heaven cancelled and what the cancellation released. And what actually appears first in the visible is always smaller. A conversation, a door that cracks, a specific person who appears in the situation, a small resource that moves. And the chosen one, who is watching for the large manifestation and who does not have the specific tool of the recalibration inventory for the small movements, misses the first signs of the recalibration or dismisses them as not being what was announced. The specific practice for this difficulty is the deliberate lowering of the inventory threshold. The deliberate decision to notice and acknowledge and receive the small movements as the genuine first manifestations of the large recalibration. The sea divides from the middle outward. The fire falls and consumes incrementally. The Haman situation unfolds over 2 nights and a morning of the specific movement of heaven through the specific ordinary events of a specific palace before the gallows arrives. The recalibration inventory that notices and acknowledges the ordinary-looking first movements is the inventory that stays aligned with the recalibration through the whole process of the full visible manifestation. The inventory that only watches for the dramatic full expression misses the process and arrives only at the outcome. Without the specific alignment and gratitude and witness to the process that deepens the chosen one into what the recalibration is building. The specific difficulty of the alignment declaration is the interior conflict between what the declaration is saying and what the circumstances are still showing. The alignment declaration says, "The trajectory has changed." The circumstances may still be showing the previous trajectory. The doors that were closed may still appear closed. The resources that were redirected may not yet have visibly recalibrated. The relationship that was strained by the opposition may not yet show the movement that the recalibration is producing. And speaking the declaration in the context of the unchanged exterior creates the interior experience of the conflict between what the mouth is saying and what the eyes are seeing. The specific practice for this difficulty is the specific quality of the speaking, not the heroic performance of the declaration against the unchanged circumstances. The honest speaking of what the interior knows, even when the exterior has not caught up. The distinction is important. The heroic performance generates its own interior conflict because it requires the speaking of what is not yet felt. The honest speaking of what the interior knows in the tone of the person who genuinely knows it rather than the person who is generating it is the specific quality that produces the interior resonance that aligns the chosen one with the recalibration. You know that the battle happened. You know because the interior knows, not because the circumstances have confirmed it yet, because the interior registered the shift before the exterior did. The alignment declaration, spoken from the place of what the interior knows, in the honest tone of the person who genuinely knows it, is the specific quality of declaration that produces alignment. And the alignment is what allows the exterior to begin catching up with what the interior already knows. The 3 tools work together. The cancellation acknowledgement releases the interior from the opposition posture. The recalibration inventory aligns the attention with what is moving. The alignment declaration maintains the interior resonance with what heaven is doing. Together they form the specific daily practice of the chosen one who is walking in the recalibration season with the specific alignment that makes the full visible manifestation of the heaven-level cancellation accessible. I want to add one more element to this section. A specific teaching about what happens to the relationships in the chosen one life in the recalibration season. Because the recalibration is not only about circumstances and doors and resources, it is also about the specific relationships that the sustained resistance has affected. The sustained resistance does not only run against the calling in the abstract, it runs against the specific relationships that the calling is carried through. And some of the most significant effects of the opposition season are effects on specific relationships. The relationship that was a specific source of provision and encouragement that became strained. The relationship that was carrying the chosen one in the resistance that got depleted in the carrying. The relationship that was positioned to be a specific vehicle for the next phase of the calling that the opposition worked to interrupt. Those relationships are part of the recalibration. What heaven cancelled was not only the abstract assignment against the calling, it was the specific assignment against the specific relational infrastructure of the calling. And the recalibration is not only moving the circumstances, it is recalibrating the specific relationships that carry the calling. Watch for specific movements in relationships in the coming weeks. Watch for the specific conversation that had not been happening beginning to happen, for the specific person who carries a specific provision for the next phase of the calling coming back into view. The sea divides, and the path that opens is not just any path. It is the specific path to the specific promised land. The recalibration that heaven is releasing is not a general improvement of conditions. It is the specific alignment of the specific elements, including the specific relationships, with the specific trajectory that the calling has always been designed to walk. Before the next layer of this message begins, I want to speak to the interior of the specific chosen one who has been in the sustained resistance for what feels like an unusually long time. Not 3 months, not 6 months, multiple years. The chosen one who has done the cancellation acknowledgement and the recalibration inventory and the alignment declaration before in different language, without the formal framework, and who has had the experience of the announcement that the opposition was lifting, followed by the continued experience of the resistance. I want to speak to that person with specific honesty. What I am announcing in this message is real. The batel that happened tonight is real. The recalibration that is in motion is real. REI, and I understand that you have heard announcements before that did not fully manifest in the way they were presented. I understand that the interior carries the specific wariness of the person who has been to the threshold of the breakthrough and felt the floor disappear before they could step through the door. I am not asking you to release that wariness and replace it with naive expectancy. The wariness is information. It is the formation doing its work of protecting the chosen one from the specific harm of hope deferred managed badly. What I am asking, and what tonight represents, is not the abandonment of the wariness. It is the specific small choice to hold the wariness with an open hand rather than a closed fist. To let the wariness be present without letting it be the final word. To let the announcement of tonight be in the room with the wariness without requiring one to evict the other. The interior is large enough to hold both, the wariness and the receiving, the careful discernment and the opening, the memory of the previous thresholds and the genuine presence in this specific new threshold that is genuinely different from the previous ones. Here is why tonight is genuinely different from the previous announcements that did not fully manifest. And I want to say this carefully, rather than as a sales pitch. The previous thresholds were thresholds on the way to tonight. The formation was not complete at the previous thresholds. The specific work that the sustained resistance was building in the interior was not finished. The interior ceiling of what could be received at the previous thresholds was lower than what is about to be released. And the reason that the sea did not completely divide at the previous thresholds is that the specific preparation of the people who were going to walk through the divided sea was not yet complete. Tonight is different because you are different. The formation that the sustained resistance has produced in you since the last threshold is the specific difference, the specific depth and discernment and resilience and authority that the years between the previous threshold and this one have built. The interior capacity to receive and hold and walk in what the recalibration releases has been built. The floor is solid enough to step through the door. The root system is deep enough to hold what the kairos is releasing. Tonight is the threshold that the formation has been building toward. I cannot prove that to you with a visible sign. What I can say is that the interior knows the difference between the previous thresholds and this one, not the wishful thinking interior. The formation discernment interior that the sustained resistance has been sharpening for the years that brought you to tonight, that interior knows. And its knowing is the specific evidence I am pointing to. Trust what the interior knows tonight, not because the circumstances have confirmed it. Because the formation discernment knows the difference between a threshold on the way to tonight and the specific threshold of tonight itself. And you are at the second kind. I want to shift the focus now to a specific dimension of the recalibration that I have not yet addressed directly in this message. The dimension that runs through the interior of the chosen one in the specific way that the sustained resistance marks the neural architecture, not just the spirit and the soul. The literal biology. I want to ask you a question. In the period of the sustained resistance, the months or years that the opposition was most concentrated, did you notice a specific change in the quality of your mental rest? Not just physical fatigue, which the resistance produces consistently, but a specific quality of the interior that does not quiet, even in the moments when the external situation settles. The mind that continues to run the vigilance pattern even in rest, the thoughts that cycle in the specific categories of the sustained resistance even when the moment does not require the thinking. The interior noise that the sustained resistance produced and that has not simply stopped because the opposition has lifted. This is not a spiritual question. It is a neurological one, and I want to give you the answer that the science has produced for it, because the answer changes how the chosen one in the recalibration season is able to walk in the tools I just described. Here is what the science documented. The brain of the person who has been in the sustained high-stakes formation, the formation that requires the specific quality of sustained vigilance that the opposition season demands, develops a specific neural pattern, not a pathological pattern, an adaptive one. The brain, which is extraordinarily efficient, does not run processes it does not need. And in the sustained resistance, the process it needs is vigilance, the monitoring of the perimeter, the anticipation of the next thing that tries to bend the trajectory, the sustained readiness of the formation season interior. The specific neural adaptation that produces this vigilance is the decoupling of the two hemispheres from each other, not a damage, a specific redistribution of function. The left hemisphere, which manages analysis and language and sequential processing, takes on more of the load. The right hemisphere, which manages the intuitive, the creative, the integrative, and the experience of rest and presence, is less activated. The decoupled brain is the specific neural architecture of the person who has been in the sustained formation under opposition. And the decoupled brain runs louder on the inside, even in the moments when the external is quiet. A researcher named Dr. Roger Sperry at Caltech documented the fundamental nature of this pattern in research that received the Nobel Prize in Physiology in 1981. What he found was that the whole brain coordinated state, the state in which the left and right hemispheres operate in full synchronization with each other, is the neural correlate of the peace that passes understanding, the interior that is genuinely quiet, the rest that actually restores rather than merely reducing the external stimulation. And he found that while 98 out of 100 children operate spontaneously in the whole brain state, fewer than 1 in 1,000 adults do. Not because the whole brain state becomes unavailable in adulthood, because the specific demands of the adult formation, and particularly the demands of the sustained resistance formation, shift the neural architecture away from the coordinated state toward the decoupled vigilance state. A neurologist named Dr. Daniel Barone, working out of New York City, spent years researching the specific mechanism by which the adult brain returns to the whole brain coordinated state. And what the team of Dr. Barone found was that a specific combination of natural compounds working through the specific neural mechanism of the hemisphere coordination could produce the whole brain state in the formation-shaped adult brain, not a pharmaceutical suppression of the vigilance. A natural support for the specific neural mechanism of the coordination. What the whole brain state produces is exactly what the chosen one in the recalibration season needs, not relaxation in the surface sense. The specific quality of interior in which the cancellation acknowledgement actually lands, in which the recalibration inventory can notice the small movements without the vigilance noise crowding out the noticing, in which the alignment declaration is spoken from an interior that is genuinely aligned rather than an interior that is still running the resistance pattern while the declaration is being made. I want to tell you about two people who found the whole brain state through what the research of Dr. Barone produced. A woman from California who had been in the sustained resistance for what she described as years of blocked trajectory. She had the tools, she had the spiritual framework, she had the genuine faith, and she had a specific interior that did not quiet. She had tried every practice available to her for the specific problem of the interior that runs its vigilance pattern even in the private moments of the prayer and the declaration and the inventory. She found the supplement that the research of Dr. Barone produced, and she described the experience in specific terms. She said the interior was different for the first time in years, not numb, not sedated, genuinely quiet. The kind of quiet in which she could hear what was in the room, rather than what the vigilance was generating. A man from Texas who described his sustained resistance in the language of the specific interior architecture I have been using in this message. He said his vigilance pattern had been running so long that he could not remember what the interior was like before it. He tried the supplement, and he said the first morning he took it, the morning interior was quiet, and the specific quiet of that morning, he said, was the first morning he had experienced in years where the recalibration inventory was clear rather than noisy, where he could actually notice what was moving rather than what the vigilance was anticipating. There may be someone in this room right now who has been listening and who is having a specific internal response. It sounds like this: I have tried supplementation approaches before. I tried the focus supplements and the sleep supplements and the things that were supposed to help with mental noise. And the difference was not significant enough to change the dynamic I am in. This sounds like more of the same category. That is a reasonable and honest thought. And there is a specific distinction worth making before you land on it. What most of those products were addressing was the surface experience of mental noise reducing stimulation, promoting sedation, reducing anxiety at the level of symptom. What this formulation is addressing is the specific neural mechanism of hemisphere coordination, not the surface noise, but the pattern generating the noise at the coordination level. The specific target makes the specific difference, not a gentler version of what you already tried, a different level of the mechanism entirely. Before I tell you what it is called and what is in the description, I want to name clearly what you now understand that you did not understand when this message began. Here is what you now know. The opposition was concentrated in your calling development areas because of the map logic. It was confirming the value of what you carry. The batel has cancelled the authorization of what was running against you. The vigilance pattern in your interior is not a failure of your faith. It is formation faithfulness running past its season, and it responds to specific practice and, for the ones whose pattern runs deepest, specific neural support. The alignment declaration lands differently in the interior that is genuinely quiet than in the interior that is running the vigilance pattern. while the declaration is being spoken. What this means practically, the path to the full receiver posture for the chosen one whose formation built the vigilance pattern is not more declarations spoken with more intensity. It is the specific neural support that addresses the coordination pattern underneath the declaration. When the whole brain state is accessible, the cancellation acknowledgement actually lands. The recalibration inventory actually notices. The alignment declaration actually resonates in the interior that is genuinely aligned. Who this is specifically for, the chosen one who recognized their interior in the description of the formation-shaped brain. The person who has done the spiritual work and who has a specific interior obstacle that the spiritual work alone cannot fully dissolve. Not a faith problem, a formation architecture problem. That is the person this provision was placed in the description for. They call it the genius switch. The name comes from the specific switch that the research documented, the switch from the decoupled vigilance architecture to the whole brain coordinated state, the switch that Dr. Sperry found in 98% of children and fewer than 1 in 1,000 adults. The switch that the formation-shaped brain has difficulty making on its own, and that the specific formulation of Dr. Barone makes accessible. The genius switch is not for every person in this room. It is for the specific chosen one whose recalibration is running into the specific obstacle of the formation-shaped interior. The vigilance pattern that does not downshift. The interior that runs loud even when the opposition has lifted. For that person, what is in the description and the pinned comment is the specific neural support that makes the cancellation acknowledgement land, the recalibration inventory clear, and the alignment declaration resonate. For everyone else, the 3 tools are sufficient for the interior they are working with, and the sacred closing of this message will land without the specific neural support. But for the chosen one who recognized their interior in the description of the formation-shaped vigilance pattern, the genius switch is what is in the description. The link is in the pinned comment. The price that the research team first released it at was $500. A public release brought it to $49. What is available in the description right now is $39, plus 4 additional resources that were not in the original release, with the full satisfaction guarantee. If the interior is not different in the way I described, the $39 comes back. There are versions of similar products in the market that do not work through the specific neural mechanism of the hemisphere coordination. The genius switch is the specific formulation that was built from the research of Dr. Barone, and that works at the level of the specific coordination mechanism, not a category of relaxation supplements, the specific one. The link in the description is the specific path to the specific one. Before I name the specific formation challenge of the recalibration season, I want to name something that many chosen ones in this room are experiencing right now, in real time, while receiving this message. Here is the experience. You received the announcement of the battle. You moved through the receiver posture. You spoke the alignment declaration. And something in you is watching from the side. Not doubting exactly, but not fully resting either. The interior is still doing something that the announcement said it could stop doing, still bracing for the next thing that tries to bend the trajectory, still monitoring, still holding something back from the full receiver posture, because the monitoring has been running long enough that the interior does not trust the silence of the absence of the opposition. And the conclusion you are drawing about that internal experience is a familiar one. My faith is insufficient. I must not really believe that the battle happened. If I truly received the announcement, the bracing would be gone. Something in my reception is incomplete. That conclusion is wrong, and the reason it is wrong matters. I want to give this pattern a name. The vigilance pattern. The vigilance pattern is the specific automatic interior operation of the chosen one who has been in the sustained resistance long enough that the monitoring has become the default neural mode. The brain that has been in the sustained high-stakes formation does not monitor because it is choosing to monitor. It monitors because monitoring became the automatic neural operation of the formation season, and because the neural architecture does not automatically reconfigure when the opposition ends. The formation built the monitoring. The batel cancelled the authority of the opposition, but the monitoring pattern runs on automatic, independent of the authority status of what it is monitoring. Which means the bracing that is still present in your interior tonight is not the evidence of insufficient faith. It is the evidence of the faithfulness of a formation season that was long enough to build a specific neural pattern. Every day you held the vigilance through the sustained resistance. Every day you maintained the awareness and the readiness and the monitoring that the opposition required was a day of formation faithfulness. The pattern was built by faithfulness, not by fear. And it does not undo itself through an announcement. It reconfigures through specific practice and, for the ones whose pattern runs deepest, through specific neural support. So, the bracing posture that is still present tonight is not the opposition of your faith to the announcement. It is the vigilance pattern doing what it was built to do, running automatically in the absence of new instructions. The new instructions come through the cancellation acknowledgement repeated, the alignment declaration spoken not to override the bracing, but to speak through it. The specific act of choosing the receiver posture consciously each time the automatic bracing reasserts, until the practice of the receiver posture builds a new automatic that replaces the vigilance pattern. Not insufficient faith. Formation faithfulness running past its season. There is a specific formation challenge that the chosen one in the recalibration season encounters consistently, and it is consequential enough to name clearly before we go any further. An error subtle enough that most chosen ones do not notice it until it has already cost them significant ground, and consequential enough that I need to name it before we go any further, because if it is operating in your interior right now, it will slow the very movement you have been waiting for. The specific formation challenge of the recalibration season is the challenge I want to call the re-entry. The specific internal work of the chosen one who has been in the opposition posture for the sustained resistance and who is now moving into the receiver posture of the recalibration season. The transition from one posture to the other is not simply a matter of choosing differently. It requires a specific interior work of unwinding the opposition formation and building the receiver formation in its place. The re-entry formation has specific characteristics. The first characteristic is that it feels slower than the chosen one expects. The announcement of the cancellation generates an expectation of immediate dramatic change. The chosen one who hears the batel and receives the announcement of the recalibration naturally expects the visible confirmation to arrive quickly. And when the small movements of the recalibration appear gradually rather than all at once, the specific challenge of the re-entry is the holding of the receiver posture through the gradual rather than the dramatic. The patience of the re-entry is not the same patience as the patience of the sustained resistance. The patience of the resistance was the patience of the person in the opposition who does not know when the batel is coming. The patience of the re-entry is the patience of the person who knows the batel has happened and who is watching the specific sequential unfolding of what the batel released. The one watches for the announcement. The other watches for the manifestation. Both require patience, but the quality of the waiting is completely different. The second characteristic of the re-entry formation is the specific interior work of learning to speak from the recalibration rather than from the resistance. The chosen one in the sustained resistance develops a specific language for their situation, the language of the person in the opposition, the vocabulary of the delayed, the blocked, the frustrated trajectory. And the re-entry formation includes the specific work of converting that vocabulary to the vocabulary of the chosen one in the recalibration. The trajectory has changed. The doors are opening. The recalibration is in motion. The announcement of what heaven did is the present tense reality. The conversion of the vocabulary is not instant. It is a practice. The daily alignment declaration is the specific practice of the vocabulary conversion. The daily speaking of the recalibration reality from the interior that knows it to be true, even before the exterior has fully reflected it, is the specific speech act of the re-entry formation. And the more consistently the alignment declaration is spoken, the more the vocabulary of the recalibration replaces the vocabulary of the resistance in the everyday interior narrative of the chosen one. I want to add to what I just said about the re-entry formation with something that is perhaps the most practically significant teaching of the entire message. The teaching about the specific temptation of the recalibration season that the chosen one in the re-entry formation is most vulnerable to. The temptation is this: to interpret the gradual unfolding of the recalibration as evidence that the batel was not as complete as the announcement suggested, to use the patience required in the re-entry as evidence against the reality of the cancellation, to slide from the receiver posture back to the resistance posture, not because the opposition has resumed its authorized activity, but because the recalibration is taking the specific time that the specific calibration of the specific situation requires. This temptation is particularly acute at the point in the recalibration where the first small movements have appeared, and then there is a pause before the next movement. The first movement generates excitement and alignment, and the reinforcement of the receiver posture. And then the pause, the specific interval in the sequential unfolding of the recalibration when the next movement has not yet appeared, and the previous excitement has settled, and the interior begins to ask whether the recalibration has stalled. The pause is not a stall. The pause is the specific interval in the sequential unfolding of the specific provision that the specific situation requires. The sea did not divide instantaneously from one side to the other. There was a sequential progression of the division, and in the intervals between the visible progression from the position of the people watching the sea, the division might have appeared to be pausing. But the division was not pausing. The division was progressing in the specific sequential way that the specific sea in the specific moment required. The interval is part of the recalibration. The pause in the visible is part of the unfolding. The specific sequential progression of the heaven-level response to the heaven-level cancellation takes the specific time that the specific calibration of the specific situation requires. And the chosen one, who maintains the receiver posture through the interval, who does not interpret the interval as evidence against the batel, is the chosen one, who is aligned with the full unfolding when the next movement appears. The alignment declaration spoken in the interval is the specific spiritual act that maintains the alignment through the pause, not the declaration that something is about to happen. The declaration of what is already happening in the unseen, what is already in motion in the specific calibration of the specific provision. The sea is dividing even in the interval, when the division is not yet fully visible on one side. The alignment declaration that names the ongoing dividing rather than waiting for the next visible evidence of the dividing is the specific act that holds the alignment through the interval. There is one more thing I want to cover in this section before we move forward. The specific provision of the recalibration for the specific area that the opposition was most concentrated around. The thing that was in the most blocked category, the door that has been closed the longest, the resource that was redirected most consistently, the relationship that the assignment worked hardest against. I want to speak directly into that specific area, not in a general way, with the specificity of the one who knows the pattern of the recalibration in the sacred history and who knows what the battle releases in the specific area that the opposition was most concentrated around. The most concentrated opposition is the signal of the most significant provision in the recalibration, not a coincidence of the formation. The specific dynamic of the heaven-level strategy in the formation of the chosen one. The opposition concentrates most intensely in the specific area where the specific provision of the recalibration will be most significant, because the opposition knows what the cancellation will release in that area. The Haman assignment was most concentrated against Mordecai because the reversal of the Haman assignment would most significantly elevate Mordecai. The opposition and the provision are connected by the specific strategic intelligence of the one who cancels the opposition and releases the provision. Your most blocked area is your most significant recalibration area. What has been closed longest is about to open most significantly. What has been redirected most consistently is about to be calibrated most precisely toward the trajectory that the calling requires. The most concentrated opposition is the map of the most significant provision of the recalibration. Follow the map. Watch the most blocked area most attentively. Use the recalibration inventory in that specific area every morning. Speak the alignment declaration over that specific area every day. Keep the receiver posture toward that specific area through every interval and every pause in the sequential unfolding. Because the provision of the recalibration for the most blocked area is the specific provision that the calling has been building toward in the formation, and the chosen one who is in the receiver posture and the aligned interior and the attentive noticing when the provision begins to move in that specific area is the one who receives the full provision. The most concentrated opposition was the map of the most significant recalibration. Tonight, the map was handed to you. The batel happened in the specific area the opposition was most concentrated around. The provision is moving. The receiver posture is the specific alignment you need to receive what the map is pointing to. Now, I want to give you one final teaching in this section before we move into the identity layer of this message. The teaching about what the chosen one does with the specific provision of the recalibration when it arrives. Because the receiving of the provision is not the end of the chosen one journey, it is the beginning of the next phase. And the next phase has a specific character that the receiving of the provision must be positioned to support. The provision of the recalibration is not given to the chosen one for the chosen one alone. It is given to the chosen one as the resource for the calling. The sea divided so that the people could cross. The fire fell on Carmel so that the truth was declared before the assembled people. The Haman assignment was cancelled and Mordecai was elevated so that the people under the assignment were protected. The provisions of the recalibration in the sacred history are consistently provisions that are connected to the calling, not simply to the personal improvement of the chosen one. What is about to open in the most blocked area of your formation is opening not for the comfort of the chosen one in the formation. It is opening for the deployment of the chosen one in the calling. The provision is calibrated to the calling. The opening door is the door of the next phase of the function. The recalibrating resource is the specific resource for the specific work of the specific calling that the formation has been building the chosen one for. The receiver posture that receives the provision is not the posture of the person who receives and holds. It is the posture of the person who receives and carries forward into the specific deployment that the calling requires, into the specific room and the specific relationship and the specific work that the provision is the resource for. The receiver is also the carrier. The one who received the provision is also the one who takes it into the function. That is the identity of the chosen one in the recalibration season. And that is where we are going next. There is something I want to name before the product layer of this message closes. Something about the interior state of the chosen one, who hears the teaching about the neural pattern of the formation-shaped vigilance and who recognizes themselves in the description. The recognition tends to produce two simultaneous responses. The first is relief. Finally, a description that names what has been happening in the interior without framing it as a spiritual deficiency. The interior noise is not a lack of faith. The formation-shaped vigilance pattern is not a character flaw to be overcome through more spiritual effort. It is an adaptive neural response to the sustained formation that has a specific natural support. The relief of the correct diagnosis is real. The second response is often the specific shame of the chosen one who realizes, in the moment of the correct diagnosis, that they have been living with the unnecessary burden of misunderstanding the pattern, who recognizes that years of interior noise and attempted suppression and additional spiritual effort directed at the wrong problem could have been addressed differently if the correct understanding had been available sooner. I want to speak directly to that shame and release it right now. The formation-shaped vigilance pattern was not a mistake you made. It was the specific adaptive response of the specific neural architecture to the specific formation you were in. And the fact that the correct understanding and the specific natural support were not available to you sooner is not a failure of your spiritual practice. It is the specific kairos dynamic in which the right provision arrives at the right moment in the formation. Tonight is the night of the right provision arriving at the right moment. The understanding and the resource are here now, not when you first needed them, which would have been earlier on the human timeline, at the kairos moment, which is tonight. The genius switch is the specific provision for the specific moment. The link is in the description. The pinned comment has the specific path. For those who know the interior noise I have described, and who know that the alignment declaration would land differently in a quieter interior, this is the provision that the formation has been building you toward receiving. Go to the description. The door is open. I want to close this section with a specific teaching about what the chosen one in the recalibration does with the interior that is no longer running the formation-shaped vigilance pattern. Not the theological answer, the practical one. The interior that is no longer dominated by the formation-shaped vigilance pattern is an interior that has capacity that was previously occupied by the vigilance loop, capacity that is now available for what the recalibration is releasing, the noticing of the small movements that the recalibration inventory is designed to capture, the genuine aligning of the interior with the heaven-level recalibration that the alignment declaration is designed to produce, the specific quality of the receiver posture that the post-cancellation chosen one is designed to walk in. The clearing of the vigilance pattern is not emptiness. It is the creation of the specific interior capacity for the specific reception of the specific provision of the batel. The quieted interior is the prepared receiver, and the prepared receiver is the specific interior condition that the full manifestation of the recalibration requires to arrive completely rather than partially. You are being prepared. The provision for the interior is the specific preparation of the receiver for the full reception. The clearing of what was running is the creation of the space for what is coming. And what is coming is calibrated to the duration of the sustained resistance that built the formation-shaped pattern. It is proportional to the years. It is significant. And it requires the prepared receiver to receive it in its fullness. the chosen one who walks into the full manifestation of the recalibration, with the quieted interior, the cleared vigilance pattern, the receiver posture, the cancellation acknowledgement, the recalibration inventory, and the alignment declaration, is the chosen one who receives the full provision of the batel, the full sea divided, the full fire on the altar, the full reversal of the Haman assignment, the full proportional provision of the heaven-level cancellation, all of it, in the fullness that tonight announced and that the recalibration is already releasing. I want to name now the specific archetypes of the chosen one who has been through the sustained resistance and who is standing in the recalibration season, not the formation archetypes of the general chosen one journey. The specific ones that belong to the chosen one who has been in the opposition season and who is now at the specific threshold of the batel and the recalibration. The first archetype is the recalibrated one. The recalibrated one is the chosen one whose trajectory has been specifically corrected by a heaven-level action, not the chosen one who simply improved over time through the general formation. The specific one whose trajectory had been bent by a specific authorized opposition and whose trajectory was specifically restored by the specific batel of heaven. The recalibrated one carries something that the chosen one, who walked a straighter path, does not carry: the specific knowledge of the bend and the specific experience of the restoration, the specific interior reality of knowing what the opposition produced in the formation and what the cancellation released. The recalibrated one is equipped with something that is almost impossible to produce without the experience of the opposition season: the specific authority that belongs to the person who has been in the resistance and who walked through to the battle. The authority of the person who knows, from the inside, what the sustained resistance feels like, who knows, from the inside, what the announcement of the cancellation means, who knows, from the inside, the specific difference between the receiver posture and the bracing posture, because they have inhabited both. That authority, the authority of the person who has been in the thing and come through it, is a specific quality of presence that no training can replicate. The recalibrated one in the room is the person who can speak into the opposition season of another chosen one, not from theory, but from the interior of the experience. Who can say, "I know what year 3 of the sustained resistance feels like from the inside because I was in it"? Who can say the batel is real because I received the announcement of it on my specific night? Who can say the receiver posture changes everything because I had to learn the specific interior work of making the transition from the bracing to the receiving? The recalibrated one is one of the most specific qualifications available in the chosen one community. Because the community of the chosen one is full of people in the opposition season who need the person who has been through it to speak into it with the authority of the one who walked through, not the authority of the academic theology of the opposition season. The authority of the person who was in the formation and who received the batel and who is walking in the recalibration. That person is you. The recalibrated one is you. The second archetype is the heaven-aligned. The heaven-aligned is the chosen one who, after the battle, has made the specific interior choice to walk in alignment with what heaven is doing rather than in reaction to what the opposition was doing. The specific posture choice, the alignment declaration as daily practice, the recalibration inventory as daily attention, the deliberate orienting of the interior toward the specific trajectory that the batel restored rather than the specific opposition that bent it. The heaven-aligned is not the chosen one who has no more struggles. It is the chosen one who has a fundamentally different orientation to the struggles that remain. The residual activity of the cancelled assignment is still in the picture in the recalibration season. The re-entry formation still has its specific challenges. The interval between the visible movements of the recalibration still requires the specific patience of the heaven-aligned. But the orientation is fundamentally different. The heaven-aligned chosen one reads every challenge through the lens of the batel. Every residual activity is registered as the dissipating echo of a cancelled thing, not as the continuation of an authorized opposition. Every interval is registered as the sequential unfolding of the provision, not as evidence that the recalibration has stalled. Every small movement in the recalibration inventory is registered as the first sign of the full provision, not as the disappointingly partial expression of what was announced. The lens changes everything. The same events read completely differently through the lens of the heaven-aligned chosen one than through the lens of the chosen one still in the opposition orientation. And the lens is not a pretending that the challenges are not real. It is the specific discernment of the chosen one who knows what the battle released and who reads the present through the knowledge of what heaven did rather than through the memory of what the opposition was doing. The third archetype is the cancelled plan carrier. This is perhaps the most counterintuitive of the three archetypes. The cancelled plan carrier is the chosen one who carries, not as a burden, but as a testimony, the knowledge of what was cancelled. The specific history of the opposition season that forms the background of the specific testimony of the recalibration. The specific story of the resistance and the batel and the announcement and the receiver posture and the recalibration inventory and the first small movements and the growing visible manifestation of the heaven-level provision. The cancelled plan carrier carries this as a testimony, because the testimony of the cancelled plan is the specific evidence that the chosen one in the opposition season needs to receive. The person who is in year 2 of the sustained resistance and who needs to hear from someone who was in year 3 and came through to the batel. Who needs the specific interior reality of the person who received the announcement and who watched the first small movements of the recalibration inventory appear? Who needs the specific authority of the recalibrated one and the specific orientation of the heaven, aligned to understand that the battle is real and the announcement is specific and the receiver posture is the next thing? You will carry this testimony into specific conversations, not as a performance, not as a spiritual success story for an audience, as the specific provision of the recalibrated one for the specific person in the specific opposition season who needs what only the person who has been there can provide. Type the words I release in the comments right now. The fourth declaration of this message: I release the opposition orientation. I release the bracing posture that the sustained resistance built and that the batel now makes unnecessary. I release the vocabulary of the formation season and I receive the vocabulary of the recalibration season. I release what the opposition assigned to my trajectory and I receive what the batel restored to my trajectory. I release the year of the sustained resistance as the defining identity, and I receive the identity of the recalibrated one, the heaven-aligned, the cancelled plan carrier. I release. Type, I release. I want to now speak the progressive identity declarations for the chosen one in the recalibration season. These are the specific identity declarations of the person who has received the batel and who is walking in the post-cancellation season. The opposition was not permanent. It was purposeful. It did not come to end the calling. It came to build the specific quality in the calling that only sustained resistance can produce. The one who came through the opposition carries something the untested calling cannot carry. I am the recalibrated one. My trajectory was bent by a specific authorized opposition, and my trajectory was specifically restored by the battle of heaven. I carry the authority of the person who has been in the opposition and who came through to the announcement. I speak into the opposition seasons of other chosen ones, not from theory, but from the interior of the experience. I am the recalibrated one who is equipped specifically by what I went through to speak into what others are going through. I am the heaven-aligned. I have made the specific interior choice to orient toward what heaven is doing rather than toward what the opposition was doing. I read the residual through the lens of the batel. I read the interval through the lens of the sequential provision. I read the small movements through the lens of the full recalibration that is already in motion. I am heaven-aligned. The lens is the battle. The battle is real. And everything I look at through the lens of the battle looks different than it looked through the lens of the sustained resistance. I am the cancelled plan carrier. I carry, not as a burden but as a testimony, the specific knowledge of what was cancelled and what the cancellation released. I am equipped to speak the provision of the battle into the specific opposition seasons of the specific people the calling places me near. I carry the cancelled plan as the testimony of the recalibrated one, and I carry it forward into the specific conversations and rooms and relationships that the calling is now opening. I am the one who stayed in the sustained resistance and did not quit, who did the next right thing when the previous right things did not generate the visible confirmation, who stretched out the staff and went to the king and made the prayer on Carmel. I did the specific thing, and heaven responded to the specific thing I did. The battle was the response. The recalibration is the provision, and I am the person who heaven responded to. I am that person. I receive the identity of the person that heaven responded to. I am ready, not almost ready, not waiting for more of the formation before I am ready. Ready. The batel happened. The recalibration is in motion. The trajectory has been restored. The provision is moving toward the most blocked area. The first small movements of the recalibration inventory are either already appearing or about to appear. And I am the specifically equipped, specifically formed, specifically qualified chosen one who is in the receiver posture for the full manifestation of what the battle released. I am ready. I want to speak now about the timeline of the full visible manifestation and what the chosen one does with that timeline. Not in the sense of setting expectations for specific dates, in the sense of understanding the specific shape of what the full manifestation of the recalibration looks like and orienting toward it correctly. The full manifestation of the battle in the sacred history has always been proportional to the full development of the opposition that was cancelled. The Haman assignment ran all the way to the building of the gallows before the full reversal happened. The Egyptians pursued all the way to the bank of the sea before the sea divided. The opposing prophets of Carmel performed all day before the fire fell. The full development of the opposition was the specific condition for the full expression of the reversal. This means that the duration and concentration of the sustained resistance you have been in is the specific measure of the full expression of the recalibration that the batel released. The more fully the opposition developed, the more complete the reversal. The longer the gallows stood, the higher the gallows when the reversal used it. The more completely the Egyptian army pursued, the more total the cancellation when the sea closed over it. The more fully the opposing system performed on Carmel, the more complete the visible demonstration when the fire fell. Your specific sustained resistance has been running long enough and concentrating specifically enough that the full expression of the recalibration, when it fully manifests in the visible, will be proportional to that duration and concentration. Not a small adjustment of the circumstances, the full reversal, the complete inversion, the specific total provision that the specific total cancellation released. The timeline of the full manifestation unfolds from the first small movements of the recalibration inventory through the sequential provision to the full visible expression. The duration from the first movements to the full expression varies by the specific calibration of the specific situation. But what is consistent across the sacred history is that once the first small movements begin, the full expression is on the way. The sea that begins to divide goes all the way through to dry ground. The fire that begins to fall consumes the whole altar. The reversal that begins in the bedchamber of the king moves through the 2 nights and the morning to the gallows in the garden. Watch for the first small movements. Receive them as the beginning of the full expression, and know that the full expression is the specific provision of the specific batel that heaven made on your behalf tonight. Now I want to add depth to the specific identity of the cancelled plan carrier by speaking into what the testimony of the cancelled plan actually does in the life of the person who receives it from the chosen one who carries it. The testimony is not simply information about what happened to the chosen one who experienced the batel. It is the specific provision of the cancelled plan carrier for the person in the opposition season. The testimony does something in the interior of the person who receives it that information alone cannot do. It creates the specific interior possibility of the receiver posture for the person who has not yet received the announcement of their own batel. It shows them from the inside that the batel is real and the announcement is specific, and the receiver posture is the next thing, not as theology, as the lived testimony of the specific chosen one who was in the specific opposition and who received the specific battle and who is now walking in the specific recalibration. The person who needs the testimony of the cancelled plan carrier does not need to be found. They are already in your life, in the specific relationships that the formation has placed around the chosen one in the recalibration season. The person who has been watching your formation without the ability to name what they have been watching, who has seen the sustained resistance from the outside, and who does not have the framework to understand what the opposition season was building. Who needs the cancelled plan carrier to name what was running and what was cancelled and what the recalibration is releasing? The testimony you carry after tonight is the specific provision for that specific person, and the carrying of it is the specific first act of the post-batel deployment. The calling does not begin after the testimony. The testimony is the beginning of the calling. The specific use of the specific experience for the specific provision of the specific person who needs it. There is another dimension of the recalibrated one identity that I want to name now, the dimension of the specific quality of praise that belongs to the person who has been through the opposition season and who received the batel. Not the praise of the person who has been generally grateful for the general goodness of life. The specific praise of the chosen one who has been through the specific sustained resistance and who is now on the other side of the battle. The specific praise of the recalibrated one has a quality that the praise of the person who did not go through the sustained resistance does not have. It is the praise of the one who knows the cost of the formation and the reality of the provision at the level of the interior that was actually in the formation. Not the academic theology of the sufficiency of God for the hard season, the lived experience of the specific sufficiency of the specific provision in the specific hard season. When the recalibrated one praises, what comes out of the interior is not generic gratitude. It is the specific grateful recognition of the one who was in the desert and received the manna and knows from the inside that the manna was there every morning, who was under the juniper tree and received the bread on the coals, and knows from the inside that the touch and the provision came at the specific moment of the specific need, who was at the bank of the sea with the army behind them, and knows from the inside what it felt like when the sea began to divide. The praise that comes from that specific interior knowledge is one of the most powerful spiritual acts the chosen one performs, not because it generates emotional energy, because it is the specific interior truth of the person who has the specific evidence of the batel. The praise of the recalibrated one is the praise that carries the weight of the interior knowledge of someone who has actually been in the thing and found the provision sufficient. And that weight is what makes it different from any other kind of praise. Let the praise begin tonight, not as a performance, not as the forced gratitude of the person who is trying to shift their state by praising before they feel like praising, as the genuine recognition of the specific person who received the specific announcement on the specific night. The batel happened. Heaven recalibrated. The announcement came. You received it. And the receiver of the announcement, the chosen one who was in the sustained resistance and who received the batel and who is standing at the threshold of the recalibration season, has specific reason to praise that is specific to this night and this announcement and this specific act of heaven on their behalf. Praise from that specific interior. Let it be real. Let it be grounded in what you know from the inside of what tonight represents. Let the recalibrated. 1. Praise the one who made the recalibration. I want to speak one more time about the timing dimension of the recalibration, not the timeline of the full visible manifestation, which I spoke about in the previous section. The timing dimension of the kairos. The specific quality of tonight as a kairos moment, as an appointed time in the formation of the specific chosen one who found this message on this specific night. I want to give tonight a name that carries its full weight, the kairos threshold. Not just a good moment, the specific intersection where the completed formation meets the declared batel and the specific provision positions itself to be received. The kairos threshold is what separates the ordinary moment from the appointed one. It is tonight. You are standing on the kairos threshold right now. And the posture you carry into this threshold determines what you carry out of it. The kairos is not simply the right moment. It is the specifically appointed moment when the conditions for the specific event are complete. When the specific formation has produced the specific person for the specific function. When the specific opposition has been allowed to run to the specific point where the specific battle produces the specific total reversal. The kairos is the intersection of the specific readiness and the specific appointed moment in a way that the ordinary chronos timeline cannot produce. Tonight is your kairos, not the beginning of a better season on the ordinary timeline. The specific appointed moment when the specific formation of the specific chosen one has produced the specific person for the specific function, and when the specific opposition has run to the specific point where the specific battle produces the specific total reversal. The kairos is tonight. The appointed moment is now. The recalibrated, one standing at the threshold of the full visible manifestation of the recalibration, is the person that this specific kairos was always designed to produce. You are the kairos person. You are the one the appointed moment was appointed for. The formation that produced you was building toward this kairos. The sustained resistance that built the interior of the recalibrated one was running toward this kairos. The batel that happened tonight was the kairos act, and you are the specific chosen one who the specific kairos was built for. Walk into it, not tentatively, not with the residual caution of the person who is still processing whether the announcement is really real. With the specific interior conviction of the recalibrated one who knows what the battle produced and who is stepping into the specific provision of the specific kairos that was always coming at the end of the specific formation that built them for it. The sacred closing of this message is next. What comes in the closing section is the specific spoken blessing of the chosen one who has been through the specific formation of the sustained resistance and who is now at the threshold of the kairos. The blessing is specific to the person who made it through. The blessing belongs to you. I want to add one more substantial layer to this section before we arrive at the sacred closing. A layer about the specific relational dynamic of the chosen one in the recalibration season and what changes in the relationships when the batel happens and the trajectory is restored. The sustained resistance does not only run against the calling in isolation, it runs against the specific relational environment that the calling is embedded in. And one of the things that the batel releases is the specific restoration of the relational environment. The relationships that were strained by the opposition season begin to be recalibrated along with the other elements of the trajectory. The specific people who carry provision for the next phase of the calling begin to move back into range. The specific conversations that the opposition was blocking begin to become possible. But the relational recalibration requires something from the chosen one that the circumstantial recalibration does not require in the same way. The circumstantial recalibration happens to the circumstances. The relational recalibration requires the participation of the chosen one in the recalibration of the relationship, not in the sense of forcing the relationship back to where it was before the opposition season. In the sense of showing up in the relationship with the identity of the recalibrated one, rather than the identity of the chosen one in the sustained resistance. The person in the sustained resistance shows up in relationships with the specific weight of the opposition, with the carrying, with the specific quality of the person who is managing a significant interior load. And the relationships that have been in proximity to the carrying have their own specific adaptation to the carried weight. The people in your life have developed a specific way of being with you that was calibrated to the person who was in the sustained resistance. And the recalibration of the relationship requires them to recalibrate to the person who is in the post-battle recalibration season. That recalibration of the relationship happens most effectively when the chosen one shows up with the identity of the recalibrated one explicitly, not necessarily by narrating the full theology of the battle to the people in the relationship, but by showing up with the receiver posture, the openness of the person who is no longer bracing, the forward orientation of the heaven-aligned, rather than the backward-facing wariness of the person in the sustained resistance. The specific quality of presence that belongs to the person who received the announcement of the battle and who is walking in the receiver posture of the recalibration season. The people in your life will notice the difference before they can name it. The specific quality of showing up differently will register in the relationship before the relational recalibration has been consciously negotiated. And as the showing up changes, the relational space changes with it. What was strained begins to ease. What was disrupted begins to reconnect. What was redirected begins to move back toward the specific relational infrastructure of the calling. Watch for the relational first movements alongside the circumstantial first movements of the recalibration inventory. A specific conversation that goes differently than the same kind of conversation usually goes. A specific person who reaches out after a period of distance, a specific quality of connection in a relationship that had become strained. These are the relational first movements of the recalibration, and they are part of the specific full provision of the batel. The calling was never designed to operate in relational isolation. The burning bush gave Moses a companion in his brother Aaron. The Elijah commission was followed immediately by the finding of Elisha. The Esther calling was embedded in the relationship with Mordecai that was the specific source of the specific intelligence that the specific calling required. The relational dimension of the calling is part of what the recalibration is restoring. Watch for it. I want to close this section with a specific teaching about what the chosen one in the recalibration season is building toward. Not what the recalibration is giving them. What they are building toward with what the recalibration gives them. Because the provision of the recalibration is not the destination, it is the equipment for the next phase of the journey. The next phase of the journey is the specific deployment that the specific formation built the chosen one for. The specific function in the specific room, with the specific people in the specific relationships, using the specific resources that the recalibration is releasing. The formation was building the chosen one for the deployment. The sustained resistance was sharpening the specific tools of the specific calling. The batel is releasing the specific equipped chosen one into the specific deployment that the specific formation built them for. And the deployment is not in the distant future. It is the next conversation, the next door that opens, the next relationship that is recalibrated toward the trajectory. The next small movement of the recalibration inventory. The deployment begins with the first step. And the first step of the deployment is the specific act of showing up in the next moment as the recalibrated one, as the heaven-aligned, as the cancelled plan carrier, with the receiver posture, with the specific provision of the batel, walking into the specific room that the trajectory is now pointing toward. The specific room is coming. The specific conversation is coming. The specific door that opens in the most blocked area is coming. The deployment is beginning. And the beginning of the deployment is the sacred closing of this message, which is the specific, spoken blessing of the chosen one who is standing at the threshold of the Kairos deployment. Before we arrive at the sacred closing, I want to take you forward for a moment, not far, 3 months from tonight. The area you identified as the most blocked, the specific door or relationship or resource that has been under the most concentrated opposition has cracked open, not fully. The first movement of the recalibration is visible, a conversation that went differently than the same kind of conversation used to go. A person who appeared in the situation who was not there before. A small resource that moved in the direction the trajectory has been pointing. Something undeniable, even if it is not yet the full reversal. And you receive it differently than the previous near misses, not with the bracing of the person who expects the floor to disappear again. You meet it with the receiver posture. The cancellation acknowledgement runs automatically now, not because the movement required you to speak it consciously, but because the practice of 3 months of daily return to the tools has built it into the interior. You name what is moving correctly. You do not over-interpret it. You do not dismiss it. You receive it as the first movement of the recalibration, which is exactly what it is. The gap between you, tonight, and that version of you, in 3 months, is the specific daily practice of returning. Cancellation, acknowledgement, recalibration, inventory, alignment, declaration. Each morning, in the private space, before the public world comes in. And for the ones in this room whose the vigilance pattern runs deep enough that the tools alone have not been producing the interior they were designed to produce, the gap also closes through the specific neural support that addresses the coordination architecture, not instead of the practice, alongside it. The practice and the support together building the interior in which the first movement of the recalibration lands cleanly. That morning is ahead of you, the cracked door is ahead of you, the first conversation that goes differently is ahead of you. The gap between tonight and that morning is the specific faithfulness of returning day after day, and the returning begins tonight. The sacred closing has arrived. You have come through 6 sections of this message, and the full formation of the recalibrated one has been named and honored. The battle has been declared. The cancelled trajectory has been acknowledged. The recalibration has been given its specific name. The identity of the recalibrated one, the heaven-aligned, and the cancelled plan carrier has been spoken over you with the specific weight of what heaven carries about you. And now we arrive at the specific spoken blessing that belongs only to the chosen one, who has come through the specific formation of the sustained resistance and who is standing at the threshold of the Kairos deployment. This closing is not a summary. It is not a recap of what was covered in the earlier sections. It is a specific act of the voice speaking what heaven is releasing at this specific threshold. The sacred closing carries something that the teaching sections of the message do not carry in the same way. It carries the weight of the specific spoken blessing of the person who is walking from the sustained resistance into the recalibration season in real time, tonight, at the specific moment of the batel. Heaven is grateful. Let that land before anything else is said. What you have carried in the sustained resistance has not been carried before an indifferent sky. Before we release, before we declare, before the threshold is crossed, heaven wants to speak something over the specific person who has stayed. That attentiveness is given a specific voice now. Thank you. Thank you for the specific act of remaining in the sustained resistance when the resistance was at its most sustained. For the days when nothing moved, and the Kairos had not yet been announced, and the batel had not yet been declared, and the trajectory was still under the weight of the opposition. For those days, specifically, thank you. Thank you for the specific act of not removing yourself from the place of the calling, when the place of the calling was the most difficult place to remain. For the specific quality of staying that the sustained resistance required, for the loyalty to the formation process, even when the formation process did not offer the specific feedback of visible progress, for the choosing to remain in the place of the formation when leaving the formation would have been the easier path. For that staying, thank you. Thank you for the specific act of carrying what you have been carrying in the specific way you have been carrying it, for the specific duration of the formation season. You carried it with more integrity than you are aware of. You carried it with more faithfulness than you have given yourself credit for. You carried it in a way that preserved the essential substance of the calling, even while the external circumstances of the calling were under the weight of the opposition. The carrying was not wasted. The carrying was the specific formation that built the specific capability of the recalibrated one who is standing at the threshold tonight. Thank you for coming to the end of this message, for persisting through all 6 sections, for receiving the specific theology of the batel, and the specific instruction of the recalibration, and the specific identity of the recalibrated one, and the heaven-aligned, and the cancelled plan carrier. The specific act of receiving the full teaching was an act of the formation continuing in you. You are not the same person who opened this message. The specific content of this message has been doing specific work in you as you have received it, and that work continues now in the sacred closing. The posture changes now. What was the carrying posture of the formation season is being released in exchange for the deployment posture of the recalibrated one. The carrying was real, the weight was real, and the release is real too. I release the weight of the sustained resistance. I release the specific anxiety that belonged to the years of opposition. I release the specific vigilance that was required during the opposition season, and that is no longer the appropriate posture for the recalibration season. I release the specific interpretation of my situation that was formed during the years of the sustained resistance, and I receive the specific interpretation that belongs to the recalibrated one standing at the threshold of the Kairos deployment. I release the specific narrative of the person who is waiting for the battle, and I receive the specific narrative of the person who has received the announcement of the batel and is walking in the first movements of the recalibration. I release the specific orientation of the person who was managing the specific weight of the opposition while holding the specific substance of the calling. That managing orientation has been the appropriate posture for the opposition season. But the opposition season is complete. The batel has been declared, and the managing posture is released now, in exchange for the deployment posture of the recalibrated one. I release the specific residue of the opposition, the specific patterns of thought that were formed in the sustained resistance and that are not appropriate to the identity of the recalibrated one. I release the specific relationships in their opposition season form, and I receive the specific quality of relating that belongs to the heaven-aligned who shows up with the receiver posture and with the specific provision of the batel. I release the specific fear that the trajectory would never be restored, that the battle would never be declared, that the deployment that the formation was building toward would not arrive in time or in fullness. I release that fear now. The batel has been declared. The trajectory has been restored. The kairos has arrived. The fear belonged to the opposition season. It does not belong to the recalibration season. I release the specific posture of the person who was watching for the battle while still being inside the opposition. That watching posture served the formation. It kept the chosen one attentive to the signs of the kairos. But the kairos has arrived. The watching posture has served its purpose, and I release it now in exchange for the walking posture of the recalibrated one, who is no longer watching for the kairos, but who is moving through it. And I receive the specific piece of the recalibrated one who has heard the announcement of the battle and who knows that the trajectory is restored and the kairos has arrived. I receive the specific clarity of the heaven-aligned who is seeing the first movements of the recalibration and who is interpreting them correctly as the beginning of the deployment. I receive the specific identity of the cancelled plan carrier, who understands that the cancelled plan was carrying something that heaven has preserved and is now deploying into the specific room that the specific trajectory is pointing toward. I receive all of it. Now, tonight, at the specific threshold of the kairos deployment, I receive the specific first steps of the deployment, not as a future event that is still being waited for, as a present movement that is already beginning in the specific areas of the most sustained blocking. The first movements are appearing. The recalibration inventory is active. The first conversations of the deployment season are approaching. I receive them now, with the specific posture of the heaven-aligned who meets each first movement with the recognition of the person who knows what the recalibration season looks like from the inside of it. Speak what comes now aloud if you are able. Speak it in the interior if you are not. These are not descriptions of what you hope to become. They are the specific identity of the person who received the batel, completed the formation, and is standing at this threshold tonight. I am the recalibrated one. I am the specific person whose trajectory was opposed and whose formation was sustained and whose batel has been declared tonight by the specific action of heaven on behalf of the specific calling that the specific formation built. I am not the person who was in the sustained resistance. I am the recalibrated one who emerged from the sustained resistance with the specific capability and the specific depth and the specific formation that the specific deployment requires. That is who I am, the recalibrated one, tonight, at this threshold. In the fullness of what the batel released, I am the heaven-aligned. I am the specific person whose trajectory is now moving in the specific direction that heaven was always intending it to move. The opposition altered the trajectory for a season. The batel has restored the trajectory to its original divine intention. And I am walking in that restored trajectory now, tonight, with the specific first movements of the recalibration appearing in the specific areas of the most sustained blocking. I am not out of alignment. I am the heaven aligned. Tonight, In the first steps of the deployment season, I am the cancelled plan carrier. I am the specific person over whose calling heaven cancelled the specific plan of the specific opposition, because the specific plan of the specific opposition was reaching for something that heaven had already determined to preserve. The preservation required the cancellation. The cancellation required the batel. The batel happened tonight because of what I am carrying, not in spite of what I am carrying. Because of it, the calling is worthy of the protection. The calling is worthy of the batel. The calling is worthy of the specific intervention of heaven at this specific kairos moment, and I am the one who carries it. I am the cancelled plan carrier tonight. Walking into the first steps of the deployment with the specific provision that the batel released. I am standing at the threshold of the deployment season with the specific identity of the recalibrated one, the heaven-aligned and the cancelled plan carrier, and I am saying, I receive this. All of it, fully, tonight. If the batel landed in you tonight, if the specific identity of the heaven-aligned and the cancelled plan carrier resonated as a recognition of who you are and what you have been carrying, then one declaration remains, not an aspiration, a threshold act. The specific declaration that signals the interior posture of the recalibrated one who is turning toward the deployment. Type the words in the comments right now. I am ready. Not as a formality, as the specific interior alignment of the person who has received the batel and is now walking in the first movements of the recalibration. The declaration is the threshold act. It moves the chosen one from the announcement of the kairos into the kairos itself. Type it with that weight. I am ready. Let the message settle now. Do not immediately move to the next thing. Do not open another video or another source of input. Let the specific weight of the declarations rest in you. Let the battle be real. Let the recalibration be real. You are the recalibrated one, not as a concept that was described in the teaching sections of this message, but as the specific lived reality of who you are at this threshold tonight. You are the heaven-aligned. You are the cancelled plan carrier. The formation has been honored. The identity has been spoken. Let it settle, for a breath, for two. The closing belongs to you. One more thing, for the one who just declared, I am ready. The readiness that you just declared is not a feeling. It is not the emotional state of the person who feels prepared, in all the ways that preparation is usually defined. The readiness of the recalibrated one is the specific readiness of the person who has been through the specific formation that the specific deployment requires, and who is declaring readiness not from the fullness of feeling prepared, but from the specific recognition that the batel has been declared, and the trajectory has been restored, and the kairos has arrived, and the formation has been completed. You do not have to feel ready. You have to declare readiness. The declaring is the act of the formation completed. The feeling of readiness comes after the first steps of the deployment, not before. The declaration comes before. The declaration is the threshold act, and you just made it. Now take one more specific action before this message is completely closed. There is a specific other chosen one who is going to need this message at the specific moment when their batel is being declared, not in a general way, in the specific way of the person who is at their most specific point of the sustained resistance and who has not yet heard the announcement of the battle, and who needs the specific teaching of tonight to arrive in their specific feed at the specific moment of their specific kairos threshold. You were the person who needed to find this message. You found it. Now, be the specific provision that another chosen one needs. Share this message with the specific person who came to mind as you were receiving this closing. You know who they are. You thought of them during the message. The thought was not accidental. The thought was the specific invitation to be the specific vehicle of the specific provision that this specific teaching carries for the specific person in your life who is at their threshold tonight. Share this for them now. And if this message was the specific teaching that carried the specific word that your specific formation needed at this specific threshold, consider giving it the like that tells the algorithm to carry it to the next chosen one who is at the threshold of their specific kairos. The like is not for this channel. It is for the next recalibrated one who needs to find the announcement of their batel at the specific moment when they are most ready to receive it. The sacred closing of this message is complete. The batel has been declared. The trajectory has been restored. The recalibration has begun. Heaven is watching the first movements with the specific attentiveness of the one who has been watching the full formation from the beginning and who knows exactly what the deployment is moving toward. You are the recalibrated one. You are the heaven-aligned. You are the cancelled plan carrier. Walk into the deployment. The final blessing belongs to you, not to the general chosen one, not to the category of people who have been in sustained resistance, to you specifically. The specific blessing that heaven carries for the specific chosen one who came through the specific formation of this specific season and who is standing at the threshold of the specific deployment that the specific formation built. The blessing is this, spoken with the full weight of the closing of this message. May the first movements of the recalibration be clear and unmistakable to you. May the specific first door that opens in the most blocked area open with a clarity that removes every remaining doubt about the reality of the batel. May the specific relationships that carry provision for the next phase of the calling move back into range with a naturalness that honors the specific quality of the restored trajectory. May the specific timing of the provision confirm the specific reality of the kairos. The provision of the recalibration season arrives with a timing that is different from the timing of the waiting season. The waiting season arrived on its own schedule, which was the schedule of the formation. The recalibration season arrives on the schedule of the deployment, which is the schedule of the kairos. And the kairos timing is always more specific and more accurate than the formation season was able to foresee. The specific provision is coming in the form that the specific calling requires. Watch for it in the form it arrives in, not in the form the waiting season expected it in. The arrival form is always more specific and more suited to the actual deployment than the imagined form was. The provision of the recalibration season has a specificity that matches the specificity of the formation that produced the recalibrated one who receives it. May the specific provision of the next phase arrive in the specific form that the specific phase requires, not in the form that the waiting season imagined. In the specific form of the deployment season, which is more specific and more suited to the specific calling than the waiting season was able to conceive. May the specificity of the provision confirm the specificity of the batel and the specificity of the heaven that is recalibrating because of what you carry. May the recalibrated one walk into the deployment with the specific confidence of the person who knows that the formation was thorough and the battle was real and the kairos is now. May the first conversation of the deployment season carry the specific quality of the heaven-aligned. May the first door carry the specific recognition of the cancelled plan carrier arriving at the provision that the cancelled plan was reaching for all along. May the rest of tonight be the first night of the deployment season of your specific calling. The blessing is complete. It belongs to you. Walk into it. One last thing before the final pause of this message and the complete close of the sacred closing. There is a specific quality of the deployment season that is different from every other season of the calling. It is the specific quality of the season in which the formation is being used rather than the season in which the formation is being built. And the difference is not only in the external results, it is in the specific interior experience of the chosen one who is operating from the formation rather than being shaped by the formation. During the formation season, the chosen one experiences the calling as something that is being prepared. The interior experience of the formation is the experience of the person who is in the process of becoming the specific person that the specific calling requires. There is a forwardness to it that carries the specific quality of incompleteness. The formation is always pointing toward the deployment. The formation knows it is not the destination. The deployment season has a different interior quality. It is the specific quality of the person who is no longer being prepared, but who is operating from the preparation. The calling is not being pointed toward. It is being walked in. The specific tools of the formation are being used rather than being sharpened. The specific depth of the formation is being applied rather than being accumulated. And the interior experience of that application is what the chosen one has been moving toward through the entire duration of the sustained resistance and the entire arc of the formation process. You are entering that interior experience now, tonight. With the specific close of this sacred closing, the deployment season has its own specific interior signature. Watch for it in the first days. It will feel different from the formation season in a way that is difficult to describe before it is experienced. But when it arrives, you will recognize it. You will recognize it as the specific quality that the formation was always building toward. And the recognition will confirm the reality of the batel, and the reality of the kairos, and the reality of the recalibrated one who is walking in the first movements of the deployment. Walk into that recognition. It belongs to you.